because these gods that come from on high, or these sky people, or these Elohim, whatever you want to call them, that's what they are. They came down and visit us. They're advanced civilizations who come, who create us in terms of manipulating DNA. And
so they're not humans. But they've created humans.
If Elohim means many gods, does that mean ancient Israel knew about these many gods? And that's the question.
Okay.
And Mark Smith is one of the most widely cited scholars on this topic. He discusses how the Israelite deity Yahweh gradually assimilated the qualities of other gods, moving Israel from polytheism to monotheism.
So you think Israel was polytheistic?
Yes. Early Israel was 100% polytheistic. But for the rest of us, it takes so much more practice. But you listen to all the remote viewers, they say it's a learned skill.
Okay.
You sit there.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
Let me know, man, because when you figure out how to do it, you come show me, because I want to. That'd be awesome.
I've been practicing. I've had some degree of success.
Have you really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, tell me about it. What'd you do? Where'd you go, man? Hey there. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast. This week's guest is someone that you should all be quite familiar with at this point, as this is his 4th episode that he has done so far. Ryan Edwards joins me again to further discuss his spiritual journey, and as always, we talk about some really fascinating things. But before you listen to it, I just want to remind you all to please share this podcast with everyone. It's extremely difficult for me, as just one guy, to let people know that this show exists. Word of mouth is the way. Please help me in this. Also, I would love to hear from you. Tell me anything you want, and I might even respond. You can reach me at Why Can't We Talk About That at proton.me. Thanks. Now enjoy the conversation. So how you been, man? How's your, what's it been, a couple months?
Yeah.
Just came over, I think?
Yeah. It's been good. Busy.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
With the kids and studies.
Nice.
Assassinations.
Yeah, dude. That was gnarly.
Been studying some finance and Bitcoin.
Okay. Wow, dude. Just
everything else.
Yeah, you just
never just all about it.
Yeah. Well, once we figure out this whole quantum realm thing, I mean, shoot, time won't matter, right?
As long as we're here, it matters. Unfortunately,
I don't know, but if we can just be like Scott Bakula and just go back and forth through whatever time zones we want. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm out of time. I'm 95. I'll just go back to when I was 10, or something.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know about that one. But there's always the reincarnation.
Right. But then we'd come back as like a dung beetle or something, or a chihuahua.
No, I think we've already passed that stage.
We have? No one comes back as chihuahuas anymore?
No.
Okay.
No, we are on an upward trajectory.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. You got high hopes for the future of humanity.
Well, I mean, at least that's what they say in the NDEs and everything that we talked about in the first couple episodes. So, yeah, I do have high hopes, though.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Positive vibes, bro. Ride that wave to comfort, bro. Oh, man. Right. My Hawaiian accent is turning more Mexican.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, dude. It's not good. We're going to Mexico in November on a cruise.
Oh, sweet. Where to? Out of Long Beach?
Long Beach. Tic tac, grab your get, watch your back. Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, I do. We're going to Mazatlan and oh my gosh, what's the other one? Start with the C. Cabo San Lucas.
Yep.
And there's one other stop that we're doing. I can't remember what it was. But I've never been out of the country. I've never been on a cruise. This is all new to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You done a cruise before?
Yeah, just once.
Where'd you guys go?
Ensenada.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and back. I think just a short little cruise.
Was it just you and the wife, or did you bring the kids?
With the kids and some friends and their kids. Which were the same age, and so they all had a blast.
Oh, that's fun.
Fun was had by.
So, what kind of stuff was on the ship that the kids like to do?
Obstacle courses and basketball and water parks.
Really? That's all on the boat?
Yeah.
Was it Princess that you guys did? Princess Cruise Lines? Which one did you guys do?
Honestly, I don't remember. I didn't plan a thing. I just went and partook.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Went to a comedy show.
Okay.
I want to say Carnival, but that's probably just because it's one of the most popular.
Okay.
Shoot, I don't know. It's been a few years.
Well, Carnival, they say that's the swingers one. That's the one all the swingers do.
They might have a swingers type cruise, but a typical carnival is a typical carnival.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean it's like designed to be a swingers cruise, but like that's what people that want to do that. That's generally where they go. That's where the whole pineapple thing happened. Have you heard about the pineapples?
No.
Like, I guess you put a pineapple on there's pineapples on the doors or something, or you put them on there. I don't know the whole thing, dude. But some about if you turn yours upside down or something, that means you're interested, or like, I don't really know.
Interesting.
So.
I did not know that. You learn something every day from Ryan.
Yeah, well, I just learned that from someone else, too, because I was talking about which one we were going to, and she's like, oh, you doing Carnival? Or I said, no, we're doing Princess. She goes, oh, good. I was like, why good? She goes, well, because, Princess is more for like, like your kind of people, and then like Carnival's more for like another kind of people. I was like, what are you talking about, another kind of people?
Yeah.
So... But we're just going. We're not bringing the kids. We're just going with my cousin and his wife, and then my cousin's wife's sister and her husband. So there's gonna be 6 adults. So that'll be fun.
Yes, it will.
I hope so. I mean, I hope it'll be fun. I assume it'll be fun. I have high hopes for that. So
yeah, it's always something to do over there.
Yeah,
you got stuff going on all day and all night.
Right. Yeah. But all right, man. Where do you want to go today?
Yeah, eventually I'd like to just come and just shoot the breeze with
just
no
hang
agenda,
out.
but I always have an agenda.
Yes, I know. That's good, though, because we have, eventually you're going to have all your whole story on here, at least up to this point. Mm-hmm. So, which is kind of cool for your posterity.
Yeah. So,
but
we all appreciate it. We appreciate you.
I did listen to the telepathy tapes.
Oh, you did?
Long time ago. Like right after you told me, you better get on it, man, when I was telling you that my daughter listened.
And
because she was getting me.
Listened.
Oh yeah, she listened to the whole thing. And
she like it?
Oh yeah, she plowed through it. She even listened to all those extra ones.
Awesome.
What was called the something tapes? No, that's telepathy tapes. There's a bunch of like bonus episodes that are called something else. She even listened to all those. It sounds like they're doing a new season of that.
Yeah,
telepathy tapes.
I haven't caught up like I should. I'll go.
Okay, I don't think it's out yet. But she keeps talking about how there's going to be a season 2 of telepathy tapes.
Awesome.
But yeah,
because they got a ways to go.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's a brand new thing. Of course, they got a lot to look at.
Pandora's box.
Sure,
and it's going to be exciting to see how they explore it and how they kind of prove it.
Right.
Because you got a lot of naysayers, a lot of skeptics, of course. And I delved into it a little bit, but if you do listen to it like you should accompany it with a documentary called Spellers.
Yeah. See, I don't know if my daughter's even seen that one yet. So
it kind of puts things in perspective.
Okay. Now is that the same thing, but it's just the video of that, or is it somebody totally different? Oh, okay.
But once you combine them, you get a better picture of how the spelling and all that works.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So very fascinating stuff.
It was. I
I
was mesmerized by it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and it really tied into almost everything I was saying in the last 2 episodes.
Right.
And it just put a pretty bow on what I was talking about. Perfect timing when it came out.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Right when I just kind of figured a lot of stuff out. This comes out and just nailed it.
Yeah.
Cherry on top.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
And then the part where that kid repasses, that was hard, dude. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to listen to.
Wow, yeah.
That was gnarly.
Everybody loved that.
Yeah. Yeah. He got the girlfriend and the whole thing. Like, oh man.
In the hot tub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
But he loved the water.
Yeah.
So I guess if you love the water, not a bad way to go.
Yeah. And again, there were messages even after his death.
Yeah.
Before and after his death that were very spiritual and connecting to the other
Sure.
side type of stuff. So,
Sure.
yeah, I really want to get back into that. But today,
Yeah.
my agenda was talking about Yahweh again, where we kind of left off.
Okay. You have to refresh my memory because I don't remember where we left off with that.
Well,
I remember we left off with you really, really liking him. Like Yahweh is your favorite biblical character.
Yes,
You
so
think
you
he's
do
great.
remember Paul and Yahweh.
Yes, and Paul.
Paul and Yahweh aren't
Yeah.
really in my good book, but
Yeah.
I kind of said a few verses about how Yahweh is the father of lies, the first
Yeah.
podcast, but I didn't get to expound on that much because
Yeah.
I was talking about a whole bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So today I wanted to actually expound on that
Okay.
and who Yahweh is, what Elohim, that word means, and I want to compare it to the Genesis story with some ancient creation stories from Mesopotamia
Cool.
and stuff like that. But I did find another interesting tidbit on Paul,
Okay.
and I tend to start with a little tidbit on Paul before I get into anything.
Yep. Because you love him so much. You can't stop talking about him, dude.
Uh-huh.
He's your favorite.
But yeah, when I talk about these things about Paul and Yahweh and all this stuff, I'm not making this stuff up. You know, they're not my harebrained ideas. These are things that scholars have been debating and pointing out for millennia. You know,
Which is interesting because I watch all that stuff. I watch debates from people that are opposing viewpoints, and I listen to stuff, and I've never heard the Yahweh thing until from you.
really?
First time I've ever heard anybody say that.
Wow.
I've met lots of people that don't like... there's lots of denominations of even Christianity that'll say, oh, we don't read Paul's letters. We don't read Paul. We don't think Paul was anointed. We don't think he was supposed to be an apostle. Like, there's those people. I've met those people before. But the Yahweh thing was totally new.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe they're more common, but engaging in these scholars, some of the scholars are very difficult to read, but scholars like James Tabor and Bart Ehrman, and you heard of those guys?
Yeah, sure.
Dan McClellan, David Litwa, and Dennis McDonald. One of my favorite communicators' name is Aaron Abke. He's not necessarily considered a scholar, but he's a Christian guy with more aligning with my points of view about, say, Paul or whatnot, and the whole mysticism kind of thing. So
but he professes to be a Christian at the same time.
Yeah. He's a full blown Christian. He just has different views. I mean, like I would almost call myself a red letter Christian.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I can't really find anything
I think we talked about that last
negative
time.
about Jesus.
Right. Like you think everything Jesus said was spot on.
Yeah, in as much as we can prove he actually said it.
Right.
And, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So Aaron Abke, I would prefer you and everybody to check him out. He's got amazing stuff. He's an amazing communicator.
Okay.
Another guy, Paul Wallace. Based on what I'm talking about today, Paul Wallace is the guy to check out too. But Paul the Apostle, that's a different story. We talked about Marcion. You remember talking about Marcion of Sinope?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I don't remember what it was though.
He was one of the first church fathers.
Okay.
On the scene, and in the first century, 85 to 160-ish, born in Sinope, wealthy ship owner, and he made a distinction between the two gods. The God of the Old Testament believed was a lesser, wrathful God, just but imperfect creator.
And that's who he's calling Yahweh.
Yes.
So would you hold that view also, like Yahweh is the God of the Old Testament to where Jesus is the God of the New?
I would say Yahweh is considered the God of the Old Testament, yes.
Okay.
These Gnostics called him the Demiurge. I don't necessarily align with that. I'm not like a Marcionist. But this God gave the Mosaic Law and was responsible for its harshness and inconsistencies. And so Marcion wanted to leave the Old Testament and the Old Testament God out altogether. Whereas the New Testament, he believed was the supreme, benevolent, loving God, the Father of Jesus. And I agree with that. 100%.
Right.
So,
but I mean, that opens up a whole new thing, though, because then if you have two different quote unquote gods, what does that even mean? Like,
it absolutely opens up a whole new thing.
Where do you go after that?
Yeah, and that's where the mystics and the Gnostics and the esotericists and all these other groups, that's where they start.
Right.
A lot of them didn't want the Old Testament involved at all with Jesus. A lot of them wanted philosophy, like Plato. Let's put Plato in the Old Testament and Socrates. And the Old Testament won out for obvious different reasons. But Marcion was the first one to put together a canon. Marcion put together the first Bible in 144.
Okay.
He obviously didn't include the Old Testament. He included a version of the Gospel of Luke and 10 letters of Paul.
Oh,
that
interesting.
That was the Bible.
There's only one gospel and then 10 epistles.
Yep.
And they're all Paul's epistles.
They're all Paul. He loved Paul. And so that's the thing.
So you guys have that in common.
So it's weird because I agree with him on the God of the Old Testament, and I disagree with him on Paul.
Yeah.
So it was a small Bible. He put it together in 144, and his sect or church was huge.
Okay.
It was at least as big as any other version of any other Christian church in the world, if not bigger. So this was
at the time, you mean?
Yeah, at the time.
He couldn't hold a candle to Joel Osteen.
Oh no,
not even.
But
close. That's way later.
He wouldn't even fill Joel's church.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a catalyst. His canon was a catalyst for the Proto-Orthodox, the Bible. They said, well, shoot, he put one together. We better start kind of figuring out what we want in ours.
Right.
And, a couple hundred years later, and to this day, we still have 4 different Bibles. The Ethiopian Bible, the Catholic Bible, the Christian Bible, or whatever you want to call it. And there's at least another one, but...
and those all have different books that the other ones don't have, a lot of them.
Yeah, they all have different books.
Yeah.
Justin Martyr said Marcion's teaching had spread throughout the whole human race, and that there's Marcionites everywhere. Tertullian said that Marcion's heretical tradition has filled the whole world. So since Marcion was huge and he was such an early church figure, he kind of grandfathered in Paul.
Yeah.
So that's my point.
Okay.
He kind of grandfathered in Paul based on his first New Testament canon. So ironically...
So you think that like in the early church or whatever we call like the disciples and all that, they weren't necessarily big fans of Paul. But then when this Marcionius guy came along, he's like, hey, Paul knows what he's talking about. Let's include his writings into the canon.
Correct.
And you think a lot of the people around at that time that consider themselves Christians were like, dude, nah. This Paul guy? Nah.
It was... Paul became huge because of Marcion.
Okay.
But
do you think that a lot of people were in opposition to it, is my point?
Yeah, it seemed like everybody else was still on the fence with Paul. I mean, you had major groups like the Ebionites who were completely opposed to Paul. A lot of the Jewish Christians were opposed to Paul, including some of the original disciples. We went over that a little bit in our first podcast. But ironically, the Orthodox Christian Church used the apostle that was popularized by this guy that was a heretic. And everybody knew him as a heretic, especially Tertullian. And Tertullian was a brilliant and fiery Christian theologian, apologist, and polemicist from Carthage. And he coined numerous theological terms, most famously Trinity. So Tertullian came up with the Trinity. He was relentless against Marcionism, Gnosticism, and he wrote these famous books about defending the faith against Marcion and against these heretics. So he was called the defender of orthodoxy, the father of Latin Christianity, the founder of Western theology. And here is what he writes about Marcion and Paul. And this is the one paragraph I wanted to share before I moved on.
Okay.
But this guy is no slouch in the early Christian community. Tertullian, in Against Marcion, book 5.
He had 5 books called Against Marcion.
Yeah.
That's hardcore, man.
Yeah.
That's more books than Christopher Hitchens had about disproving God.
Oh, yeah. Tertullian was no slouch. He laid into these guys. Mm-hmm. He says, I desire to hear from Marcion the origin of Paul the Apostle. My only belief is that nothing ought to be believed without good reason and without knowledge of its origin. It is believed without good reason. And I must, with the best of reasons, approach this inquiry with uneasiness when I find Paul affirmed to be an apostle, of whom in the list of the apostles in the gospel I find no trace. So when I am told that Paul was subsequently promoted by our Lord at rest in heaven, I find some lack of foresight in the fact that Christ did not know beforehand that he would have need for him. But after setting in order the office of apostleship and sending them out upon their duties, considered it necessary to add another by impulse, so to speak, and not by design, that is, on the road to Damascus. So then, Marcion, as a shipmaster, supposing you have never accepted into your ship any smuggled or illicit merchandise, have never appropriated or adulterated any cargo, if the things of God are even more careful and trustworthy, will you please tell us under what bill of lading you accepted Paul as apostle? Who had stamped him with the mark of distinction? Who commended him to you? Paul himself claims to be an apostle, not that from men, nor through any man, but through Jesus Christ. But clearly any man can make claims for himself, but his claim must be confirmed by another person's attestation. One person writes the document, another signs it, a third attests the signature, and a fourth enters it into the record. No man is for himself, both claimant and witness. Besides this, you have found it written that many will come claiming to be the Christ. If there is one that makes a false claim to be Christ, how much more can there be one who professes that he is an apostle of Christ? Let this apostle belong to your other God. Tertullian, Book 5, Against Marcion.
Belong to your other God, meaning Yahweh. So he's putting Paul as Yahweh's disciple.
Well, he's sure questioning, where are you getting this guy Paul from?
Yeah.
And this is Tertullian. This is the master of the protector of Christianity.
And do you know offhand, did he always feel that way up until death, or was there a point where he was like, "Oh, actually, I feel differently about Paul now"? Because even in the Bible, the Christians didn't like Paul to begin with because of his story. Because wait, this guy's been killing Christians, and now he is one. Yeah, sure he is.
Right.
Yeah, right. And they had an issue with that, but eventually, obviously, they seem to have come around to it.
No, that's a good question because in other of his works, he supports Paul and he'll quote Paul.
Tertullian does.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
maybe that's down the road, like book 7 or 8.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But his argument against it is legit. It's legitimate reason and logic. Right.
What is the argument? I was trying to figure out what his main point of contention was there as you were reading. That was kind of a long quote.
Yeah.
But he said something about his origin story, something about...
Basically, nobody attests to Paul except Paul himself.
Okay.
And why didn't Jesus have any foresight, knowing that somebody so important was going to come on the scene right afterwards?
Well, how do we know he didn't? How do we know he didn't have that foresight? And how do we know he didn't know Paul was going to come on the scene at that point in time for that specific purpose?
That's what Tertullian is saying. Okay. He appointed all these apostles and disciples. Jesus did.
Right.
Why did he leave the most important one out?
Meaning, why didn't he appoint Paul the same time he did all the other disciples?
Or at least talk about him and say convert him earlier, basically. Because doing this after Jesus' death, he's saying anybody can claim to be an apostle of Jesus.
That's true. That's very true. Yes. People still do it today.
Yeah. But he gave himself all the authority, and he has all the authority in the New Testament. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Paul became the authority of the New Testament. And so it's just kind of ironic, the whole thing.
Is that because he's so many of his writings are in the New Testament?
Yeah.
Because he obviously doesn't claim authority over Matthew, Mark, and Luke and John, or 1st and 2nd Peter, or any of the ones he didn't write, right?
Well,
you're just saying because he's got such a majority of the writings in there?
It's not just the majority, but it's an authority in the way that pastors, theologians, they always look to him to translate, or they look to him to...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, to communicate.
He's the litmus test.
Yeah, they use him to communicate, what does this mean here?
Okay.
What does this mean here? Well, Paul said this. Well, Paul said that. What does the gospel mean here? Well, Paul says this.
Okay.
So he's kind of an authority in that way.
Okay.
But Tertullian, ironically enough again, in his later years, was kicked out as being a heretic himself.
Interesting. Why was that?
Because
what views did he have?
Joined the sect of Montanism.
Okay.
And Montanism, I don't know if you're familiar with the old school, like Calvary Vineyard split.
Yeah.
Well, Montanism was like Vineyard.
Oh, okay.
They really focused on
like the gifts
of the Spirit.
Okay. Yeah.
And apparently Tertullian saw some things that converted him. Mm-hmm. He said the Spirit is actually still moving. And so he went to that side.
So he became more charismatic in a sense.
He became kind of, more the charismatic type.
Okay.
And then, the Roman Orthodox Church, they weren't into that.
Right.
So, yeah, that was ironic.
Interesting. But to cast someone out as a heretic over that is kind of... Because I don't think that would happen today. I might say, there's the Vineyard, there's a charismatic church. I might say, I don't go there because I'm not really into that kind of thing. Yeah. But I wouldn't be like, they're all going to hell. Because they believe in these spiritual gifts and that in the way they believe. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know a lot of people who would feel that way. They just might not go there specifically because they're not into that. You know what I mean? Same reason that people from there wouldn't come to my church because they're like, well, this is kind of where's all the flames of fire and where's all the people running around the aisles? What's going on? They must not have the Spirit here, and they wouldn't come there. But I don't think they would say, "Oh, you guys aren't saved."
Well, that's the beauty of this time.
Yeah,
we're not getting killed anymore. Christians were killing other Christians. For the better part of the last 2,000 years.
Right.
And I can freely come here and talk to my bro.
There you go.
About anything I want.
Yeah.
And I have it hasn't even crossed my mind that you might kill me.
Yeah. Oh, I won't kill you. I definitely won't kill you. There's no universe where I kill you.
So the concept of rejecting Paul as a legitimate apostle goes back to the earliest church fathers. But as we know, the winners write history or canonize the Bible in this case.
Yeah.
And that's it for Paul for now, because I wanted to jump over to one of my other favorite figures, and that would be Yahweh.
All right. Let's do it.
And then we'll get into kind of some ancient Mesopotamian stories and try to tie as much as we can together. But
every time you say Mesopotamia, I get that song by B-52 stuck in my head.
Which one?
That Mesopotamia.
How does it go? Sing it.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not going to sing it for you.
Okay.
I'll show you. You did listen. I bet you when you heard it, you'd be like,
I guarantee
there you go.
I love the B-52s.
Yeah, it was one of their popular singles.
But yeah, I don't think Yahweh is the transcendent God, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But like you said, you haven't heard a lot of this stuff, so I just want to entertain. We want you to entertain the perspective. This is not you must believe my view or else. Right. There's no hell, there's no church, there's no tithing, there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no threats. I mean, this is not a religion.
Yeah.
It's just a perspective based on research. There's no fear of judging.
When you say that Yahweh was not the transcendent God, what do you mean by that? I mean, like, who is the transcendent God? Like, you think there's one do you believe there is a transcendent God? You're just not Yahweh. Yahweh was not it.
Yes. Exactly.
So then, who was Yahweh then? Like, what was?
That's where we're going,
All
baby.
Right, man. There you go. Let's hit it.
So Christians are always told to be prepared to give an answer for their faith, right?
That's true.
So if nothing else, you disagree with me.
Yeah.
Use me as the devil's advocate to make sure you have all your answers, your ducks in a row.
I love
right?
it.
That's it.
Well, that's why I love doing this podcast.
That's right.
Because I talk to people with all kind of different stuff going on. So,
when starting with Yahweh, there's no better place than in the garden. So Genesis 2, I think. This is verse 15. It's either 1 or 2.
3 is the fall, so it's got to be
So the Lord, Yahweh, took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. That's actually a really important part.
Okay.
To work it and keep it, the garden. Yeah. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, "You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat you shall surely die." Now the serpent was more crafty than the other beasts of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God actually say, 'You shall not eat of any tree in the garden'?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of fruit trees in the garden, but God said, 'You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.' But the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.' Mm-hmm. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate. Then their eyes were both opened, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man and said, 'Where are you?' And the woman, he said, 'The woman made me do it,' basically.
Yeah, I love that.
But
he says, 'The woman you put here with me.'
Yeah.
I love it. He doesn't just blame Eve. He blames God for even giving him Eve. It's your fault, man. You gave me this chick, and she made a mistake.
So then he says, "Okay, well, then I'm going to make her childbearing hurt like hell. And Adam, you're going to have to contend with weeds and thorns when you're working in the field. But here's the part." And the Lord God said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil."
Right.
Confirming exactly what the serpent said.
Sure.
So the serpent says, I have this voice in my head where the serpent says, "Did God really say that?" Mm-hmm. Shaking his head like, "Oh, he always does that."
Right.
He says, "You shall not, you will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened. You will be like God, knowing good from evil." And then God says, "The man now has become like one of us, knowing good and evil."
Right.
So the synopsis, Yahweh wanted them to remain in a state of being unaware,
Yeah.
not knowing good from evil, just working the garden, and everything was good. And the serpent.
So you see that as a bad thing, that God didn't want them to have that awakening. Is that where you're going?
I'm just pointing out the fact that God did not want them to have self-awareness and knowledge of.
Well, that was. I mean, and to say like death, that's when death happened. Not physical death, obviously, because I don't think that's what God meant when He said you'll surely die. And I'm not one of the Christians that says that Satan lied to them. I think Satan, or say the serpent in this case,
it's not Satan.
The serpent told them the truth. He says, "No, God doesn't want you to eat that, because when you do, your eyes will be opened and you'll know good and evil, just like God does." Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly right. But I think that by doing that, you call it self-awareness, but I mean, to me, that's the whole, when we become kind of the duality of man, where you become flesh and spirit now, as opposed to, I mean, of course they were flesh to begin with, but I mean, like this whole concept of having a war with sin nature, and to me, that's when the whole sin nature kind of comes into play. So that's why God didn't want that to happen, but God knew it was going to happen, right? I mean, assuming He's all knowing, and from my view anyway, He's all knowing. He knew that. He knew when He put the tree there. We were just talking to somebody about this the other day. I said he could have not even made that tree, right? Like if He wanted to make robots and be like, "Look, I'm just going to make people that don't have free will, they don't have the ability to choose, and I'm not even going to put something in their midst that they could potentially choose that's going to be bad. No, I won't even put it there." Why did He put the tree there? He knew they were going to eat from the tree. He knew, but He's giving them the option, right? He's telling them, "Hey, don't do that." Just like we do with our kids. "Hey, don't do that." But we don't like remove everything from our house that could be potentially harmful. We just say, hey, don't do that. Don't drink that. Don't eat that. Don't touch the stove. We don't get rid of the stove.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But if they decide, Dad doesn't, I'm going to touch the stove, they're going to realize, that's why he said not to do that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interpretation. I think you're adding an interpretation.
Okay.
I'm just trying to stick with the words and I'm not even trying to apply an interpretation here. I'm just trying to take words at face value.
Okay.
That Jesus said literally what the serpent said. And I don't even want to try to interpret it yet because I just want to pull.
You say Jesus or Yahweh? You just said Jesus said exactly what the serpent said. But you meant to say Yahweh.
Thank you. Good catch.
Yeah,
Good catch.
Yeah.
Jesus isn't even.
I was going to say that's a whole different theology there.
But it seems like, if I can give a little interpretation, it seems like the serpent wanted Adam and Eve to become aware, like telling Pinocchio what to eat to become a real boy. And Yahweh didn't. Yeah,
but in your scenario, see, becoming a real boy is a good thing.
Not necessarily. I didn't say that.
I know, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Because in that story, if you're a wooden boy and you can become a real boy, you eat this and you become it's like an improved version of himself. But are you saying then that you think the awakened version of humanity is the better version? Like if they eat the tree of knowledge of good and evil, now they're in a better place than they were before they did?
I'm not saying anything.
I know, but you have a thought on it. Trying to get you to share it. I understand it's not actually like it doesn't say that specifically, but you're going somewhere with this.
I think you're on to me. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a better place to be.
Gotcha.
Than in the dark. But one thing I want to point out is snakes and serpents throughout all of history represent wisdom. And you'll find this in every culture, including Judaism. Okay. And some say it stems from their ability to shed their skin, which represents rebirth or renewal. But serpents always represent wisdom. And like Jesus even said, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves.
Sure.
I mean, it's common knowledge. Be wise as serpents.
Yeah.
And
well, it even says in what you just read that the serpent was more crafty than all the other. I mean, that's wisdom right there. That's being wise.
Yep. And then this kind of story kind of dovetails with the one that I talked about the first podcast, where Jesus is Yahweh is in the desert. He sends venomous snakes, and the people were only saved by looking up at the bronze staff with the serpents on top. Right. So just like the staff is lifted up, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, right?
Yeah.
So we all know that verse.
Yeah.
So Jesus is comparing himself to the serpent.
Sure.
And I think that in the garden and in the desert, this serpent is rescuing the people from the God of this world.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding here, in Genesis 3, your understanding of that is that the serpent is Jesus, and he's trying to talk them into the right place that mean evil Yahweh is trying to prevent them from being awakened and enlightened, and Jesus in the form of a serpent is saying, no, you eat that tree over there. That's the tree you want right there, because Yahweh's a big meanie and he's trying to keep you from your full potential, and you need to eat that tree because he's the good counterpart to the bad, right?
More or less,
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You're sticking with me.
You don't see that in a lot of children's Bible stories.
You don't. You really don't. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I've never seen that episode of VeggieTales.
So Jesus says, "I am the serpent to look to if you want to have the knowledge of the good and evil. If you want to pull the blinders off, basically. This is both in the garden and in the desert. He's saying, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. To open your eyes to their place in the cosmos, that the kingdom of God is within you, to realize that there is a transcendent God, his Father, which is different than the God of the Old Testament.
So you got Jesus, then you have a transcendent Father, and then you have Yahweh. And to you, those are three separate entities.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we have the Israelites in the desert. They're hungry. All they're getting is manna. And they say, can we have some fish? And Yahweh sends them vipers and bites them.
Yeah.
And it says many people died that day.
Yeah. Were those vipers wise? We got snakes again.
Those particular ones were literal snakes.
Okay. Not serpents.
Serpents
and snakes are different.
Well, everything in context.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
All they did was bite and kill people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to venture to say they weren't the wise, good ones.
Gotcha.
But this is where Jesus says in Luke, what kind of a father, if your son asks for a fish, will give him a snake instead?
Yeah.
And I like this verse because it's saying that Jesus grants us permission to ask questions with reason and logic about what is good and what is bad. So I often hear, well, God can do whatever he wants.
It's true.
But with Jesus, he's giving us permission to say, what kind of a father would do that?
But that falls under doing whatever he wants, right? Because he wants to tell us that. And give us permission to do that.
Yeah. I think Jesus is saying, your father isn't the father that you think it is. He is. And that's where it goes back to a very offensive verse from the first podcast, John 8:44, where Jesus is always quarreling with the Pharisees and Sadducees. And in John 8, Jesus says, as it is, you are looking for a way to kill me. And a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God, the only father we have is God himself, they said.
Yeah.
And Jesus said to them, if God were your father, you would love me, for I have come here from God. I have not come from my own. God sent me. Yeah. You are of your father, the devil.
Yep.
And your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he's the liar and the father of lies. So these Pharisees consistently claim that Yahweh is their father, and Jesus directly equated Yahweh with the devil in this case.
Well, I mean,
I know that you don't agree with that, and I know you're not even
saying that's like it doesn't necessarily point to that explicitly. Like
right.
that is one way you could view it.
Yes, and I know you don't agree with that,
right.
And I know you don't concede that point,
right?
So don't think this is a gotcha on you.
No.
I'm just laying it out, and I'm moving on from that verse already. Because I wanted to move on to 2 Corinthians 4:4, which I haven't brought up yet. It says, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not.
Yeah. That's Paul.
That is Paul.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even Paul's jumping on board with this whole thing now.
Yep. And in 2 Corinthians 3 says, but their minds were blinded, even unto this day when Moses was read, the veil upon their heart. There's a veil upon their heart. Mm-hmm. So we want to find out who is the one who binds and hardens hearts. Because he says, the God of this world has blinded the minds of them. See what I mean? Yeah. The God of this world is the one who blinds and hardens hearts.
So if you take that as a straight across the board kind of thing, then you can go back to Exodus and say, well, look where God hardened Pharaoh's heart. And you can say, well, if only the God of this world, which we all know to be, well, not we all know, most Christians would hold that to be the devil. Mm-hmm. And they would say the God of the world is the devil. Therefore, you would say that the God that is hardening Pharaoh's heart in Exodus is the devil. And that's where you would go and say, well, there's Yahweh.
Correct.
Gotcha.
You even named the book Exodus. Mm-hmm. And the Lord Yahweh said to Moses, when you go back to Egypt, that you do all the wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand, but I will harden his heart. Isaiah 6. And he said, go and tell his people, keep hearing, but do not understand. Keep seeing, do not perceive. And Jesus and Paul both quote this passage as pertaining to Yahweh preventing people from seeing the truth. And in Romans, Paul says, what then? Israel has not obtained what it seeks, but the elect have obtained it. And the rest were hardened. Just as it is written, Yahweh has given them a spirit of stupor, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they cannot hear, to this very day. Mm-hmm. But whom he wills, he hardens. So the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not.
Mm-hmm. So you don't see it as it could be two separate things happening. You see it as the same thing. Like to where, just make the statement, God hardens those, I'll say God hardens those who he wishes and doesn't harden those he does not wish, right? And obviously a Christian theologian would say, well, yeah, because obviously in Exodus you see it even says Pharaoh hardened his own heart, and we got other New Testament verses that talk about God giving you over to a reprobate mind, giving you over to your own desires, this kind of thing. But then it's a whole separate thing entirely to say, well, and here's this Satan devil character, the god of this world, as again from a Christian theologian would say that, and they'd say that, and he's the one that's trying to deceive and cheat and lie and blind the eyes of those so that they can't see God for who he really is. But you're kind of saying that that's the same thing. It's the same thing happening by the same
Yeah,
being.
well, we're only given so many clues. It's the God of this world is the one who blinds people's eyes and hearts.
Sure.
And
So that would be the
can
devil
look
character.
all throughout Scripture at who's the one who's blinding people's hearts and minds, and it's always the God of the Old Testament. It's always the God of this world. And then there's another clue. Are there any? And that is who is the God of this world according to the Old Testament. And there's dozens of verses that say who the God of the world is. Like Psalm 24, we've all heard the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Literally the world and all those who dwell therein.
Yeah, but that's not God of the world.
Literally says the God of the world right here.
Okay.
The earth
Read it
is the
again.
Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. It's literally saying
Right, but like God of this world is more of a title though, right? Just to say that, we would say, if we say like this, we say like the devil's the God of this world, let's say we're holding that just for a second, then you could still in the same breath say, but the earth is God's. God created it. God, created everybody on it. He's in ultimate control of everything, even though he may allow this devil character to wreak havoc and stuff, all part of his plan. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily, just because you say that he is the God of this age, or the prince and the power of the air, or whatever these other titles for the evil character are, that doesn't mean that anywhere that it says, and the earth is God's, and then you can say, well, there you go, there's the God of this world. But that's not the title, God of this world. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't it seem like a title?
I see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think you are falling back on a definition that you are so familiar with and so comfortable with.
The God of this world definition? Okay.
That is your only way to see it.
Okay.
But if somebody read the Bible without this preconceived notion, and they would say, well, who's the God of this world? And they saw all these passages that says Yahweh's the God of this world.
Well, but it doesn't say that, though. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't say Yahweh's the God of this world.
I know, but it might.
If it did, there'd be no issue here. I'd be like, oh, there's the title both places, right? Like specifically. I know, I'm putting title on it.
Yeah, you're putting title on it.
But that is kind of a title, though. To say you are the God of this world is different than to
Christians have put the title on it.
Well, but that's what maybe. But that's
Right.
but it's definite. It's a definite differentiation between that and he's got the whole world in his hands. The whole wide world in his hands. That's
I know what you
that's
mean.
a different thing to say, because one's describing what he has, one is saying who he is. So when you're saying who somebody is, that's a title, right? If I said like Ryan is the you might not even like this wording, but Ryan is the head of his household, right? Or something like that. I would say that's your title, that's your role in your family. That's different than saying you have a family, right? That's two different things that are kind of related, but they're still two different things.
Yeah, but if I were to open up a book and my diary and say, I happen to be of this house, I am the head.
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, that doesn't work because it doesn't say head of household.
Well, no, because you said of this house is different. If you said he's the head of this house,
I know.
Then yes, you are the head of this house. That's your title.
I
That's
guess the
describing
title
you.
is what you're
Well, but again, like if I said, I hope I'm making sense. If I said, you're the head of your house, that's a title. If I said, Ryan has a wife and children, right? Mm-hmm. That's different. That's describing what you have.
But if it says, and he takes charge and authority over them, that still wouldn't work for you?
He takes charge and authority over the world?
Over the family in this analogy.
Okay.
That, if you just put two and together, that's the head of the household.
Okay.
And so I'm saying that despite the title that Christianity has placed upon this, it's not a legitimate title. It's just in a passage.
Right.
It's not capitalized. It just happens to be in a passage, and that's not the only title for it. God of this world isn't the only way they say it.
Okay.
There's another way they say it too. So it's not just that title. And I'm just saying,
Prince and Power of the Air.
Yeah, that's another one. There's at least 3 of them, which kind of shows that it's not
God of this age.
Yes. Yeah, that was the third one. And so you can look throughout the Old Testament and see, well, who fits this bill? And it's always only one entity. It's always Yahweh. So there's no way to pull from Scripture who the God of this age is except for Yahweh until you get to 3 verses, and that's from Jesus.
Okay.
The only reason people think Satan is the god of this world is because Jesus calls the ruler of this world Satan. Again.
But that's red letter Christian stuff. So you have to take that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to believe that because you said you do. So
again, Jesus calls Yahweh Satan.
Okay. Oh, you say he's calling Yahweh Satan. Read what Jesus says. Oh, okay. Again, because you're already starting with the premise that the God of this world is Yahweh.
Yes.
So when he says the God of this world is Satan, that's where you're getting
Yes.
Yahweh. Gotcha. But
Yes.
that's also a preconceived going into it, right? It's an assumption already to say that the God of this age or the God of this world is Yahweh. I see how you're getting there.
No,
Don't get me
I'm
wrong.
taking
I
it
see
one
how you're getting
step
there.
at a time.
Sure.
I feel like you're jumping steps. You went from 0 to Jesus. I'm taking it step by step, reading it as it is.
Right.
And the only reason people think Satan is the god of this world is because Jesus calls the ruler of this world Satan.
Right.
But we already know the ruler of this world is Yahweh. And once again, this is like the 3rd or 4th time, Jesus is in a roundabout way calling Yahweh Satan. And that's all I'm laying out here. So now is the judge of this world, judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out. So right there is when Christianity immediately says, okay, the ruler of this world must be Satan. Right. But everywhere else, it's pointing to only one entity, and that's always Yahweh. So,
well, we know from what Jesus said that the ruler of this world is Satan.
What's that?
We know from what Jesus just said in the verse you just quoted that the ruler of this world is Satan.
Yes.
And most Christians would totally agree with you there.
Yes. We all agree on that.
The differing agreement is when you say, yes, but that God of this world is Yahweh.
Yes.
And therefore Yahweh equals Satan.
Jesus is the one who keeps telling these Pharisees that your father is Satan.
Right.
The God of this world, your father, is Satan.
Right. Again, most Christians would agree with you there. It's when you say that their father that he's referring to is Yahweh, that's where the disagreement happens.
Well, their whole religion is based on Yahweh being their father.
You mean the
Pharisees, Sadducees?
Well, no, but wouldn't you say, okay, let me put it this way, isn't that possible that Jesus is saying to them they believe their father to be Yahweh or the true God or whatever, and that's what he's teaching, that's what he's showing them. Yeah, you say you're of this, right? But you're not. You're of your father, the devil.
Right.
Right. So that'd be no different than me meeting somebody who professes to be a Christian today.
Yet you say you're a Christian.
Well, yeah, but they live their lives like Jesus doesn't even exist. And I say, well, you may claim that title of Christianity, but you're obviously not. Right. You're following after the God of this world. That was what I would say. You're following after your flesh. You're giving into your desires. You're doing the exact opposite of what Jesus taught. Yet you're still claiming to follow him. And there's lots of people like that. Just because somebody puts a bumper sticker on their forehead that says, I love Jesus, that doesn't mean that they're an actual follower of Christ.
Well, that was my exact interpretation, too, for many years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I put a bunch of things together and read them side by side that it made me scratch my head and think a little differently. But I understand. It's out there.
Yeah.
And
which is fine. I mean, honestly, the stuff that's out there is fine because that's how you get to truth sometimes, right? You have to go out there. There was a time where nobody was mixing chocolate and peanut butter, dude. There was a time in history where that was a reality. until some guy named John Reese or whatever his name was, he's like, oh shoot, I dropped my chocolate bar into this peanut butter. He's like, oh, I'll just try it. And he's like, oh my gosh. and then the world just got better from that moment forward. So
you remember those commercials? There was the commercials that did that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How long ago? Like 80s, 90s?
It was in the 80s.
Okay.
Somebody dropped a piece of chocolate. Somebody dropped a piece of peanut. You got chocolate on my
Oh, that's right. Remember? Yes, I remember now.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that until you just brought that up.
Yeah, there you go. See? That was a turning point in our history, I think. It was a very important thing that happened there. But sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to derail us with a Reese's joke.
No, that was perfect. Here's another little tidbit. In Luke 9, Jesus says, you do not know what spirit you are of. When he's talking, when his disciples, James and John, saw this, they said, Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, just as Elijah did?
Yeah, love it.
But he turned and rebuked them and said, you do not know what manner of spirit you are of. Mm-hmm. For the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village.
Right.
And this is hearkening back to the Elijah story where Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50,
and the whole thing, Such a
if I'm a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. And fire came down from heaven and consumed his 50 men. And that fire was from Yahweh. But what did Jesus said? For the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. Right. So he's attributing Yahweh's works to destroying men's lives as a direct comparison, as a direct statement.
And you know what? I would be okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, I would be okay with that because I don't think that when Jesus came, his mission was exactly the same as the God of the Old Testament. Okay, I don't think. I think they fit. I think they're connected for sure, and that one was supposed to happen first and then the next. Right? That's the whole redemption story, right? But I don't have any problem with saying that the things that the God in the Old Testament did and the way that things played out was the same as Jesus coming and saying, okay, well, here's what we're doing now. I don't hold what some do that like Jesus changed and he's saying, no, all that stuff in the Old Testament, forget all that. That was bogus and wrong, and that was we should have went my way to begin with, because I think that all the stuff in the Old Testament led up to him coming. That's the whole reason he came. Was the Savior thing, to be the blood sacrifice, which I know you very very much agree with.
Stop right there. Here's another tidbit. Yahweh never mentions having a son in the Torah except for in Israel. In Exodus, he says,
that's the Muslim argument.
Thus says the Lord, Israel is my firstborn son.
Yeah.
So I say to you, let my son go, that he may serve me.
Yeah.
Is that really?
Maybe Jesus' name was Israel when he was born, and they changed it to Jesus.
You're not going to go with that.
No. But it's an idea. I mean, it's an idea I could go with, but I won't. Yeah, that's the Muslim. That's
I did not know that.
That's the Muslim, and a few others too that don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. As they say, God doesn't have a son. God doesn't have a son. How can Jesus be the Son of God? Right. God doesn't have a son, right?
All throughout the Old Testament, Israel is my firstborn son.
Yeah.
You are the children of the Lord, O God. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Israel in Deuteronomy. So, that's just another note, a little side note, a little tidbit. So when Jesus is talking about his father, which father is he talking about? He always juxtaposes his father with their father. With the Father of the Old Testament.
I would say every time he says to them, your father, he's not referring to his father. I would agree with you on that.
He also says in Matthew 11, no one knows or sees the Father except the Son. Mm-hmm. But also, we know that Moses, Adam and Eve, they all saw the Father. They all saw Yahweh. Moses conversed with and argued against Yahweh, and Yahweh repented and changed his mind about destroying Israel.
There's been whole books written on this, though.
In the desert.
About that whole concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it says in Exodus, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one who speaks with a friend. Mm-hmm. And Jesus says no one has seen the Father except the Son.
Right.
So who are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's always, you catch a pattern here. There's always a difference between Jesus' father and the father of the Old Testament. I think they're talking about different entities. There's a little note in Revelation. I don't remember if you remember how Revelation is kind of sneaky about pointing out who people are. Remember that point about Paul I mentioned, about how Paul was the false prophet in Revelation based on him being rejected in Ephesus?
No, I don't remember this part at all.
Oh, you even commented.
I believe you.
You said, I've never heard that.
Well, maybe that's why I didn't remember it. So I was like, whoa.
Well, you gotta hear it a few times. Well,
Yeah.
here's another interesting point where they're talking about the beast, and it says, the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard, and his feet were the feet of a bear, and his mouth is the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Well, we also get a definition of Yahweh in Hosea that says, I'm the Lord, your God, in the land of Egypt. You know no God but me, and besides me there is no Savior. I am like to them a lion, like a leopard. I will lurk beside the way. I will fall upon them like a bear. Robbed of her cubs, I will tear open their breast, and there I will devour them like a lion, as a wild beast would rip them open. So he uses the exact same four animals, in Revelation as the writer of Hosea did. And that's just kind of an interesting side-by-side comparison. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's neither here nor there.
It's definitely here. I just don't know if it's there.
Ooh, here's an interesting one. Have you ever heard of the incitement of David? Yahweh's incitement. There's these two passages, one in 2 Samuel and one in 1 Chronicles, that tell the exact same story. Mm-hmm. It's about numbering the people of Israel. Mm-hmm. And it goes like this. Again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, Go, number Israel and Judah. So the king said to Joab, the commander of the army, who was with him, Go through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, and number the people, that I may know the number of the people. But Joab said to the king, May the Lord your God add to the people 100 times as many as they are, while the eyes of my lord the king still see it. But why does my lord the king delight in this? The king's word prevailed against Joab. That's the 2 Samuel version. The 1 Chronicle version includes all the verbatim stuff. Israel incited David to Joab, the commanders, Go number the people of Israel. May the Lord add to his number 100 times. Why then should the Lord require this against Joab? But the king's word prevailed. All this, it's verbatim.
Okay.
The first four words of Samuel is, again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. The first few words of Chronicles say, Then Satan stood against Israel and incited David to go number Israel. So this is a weird one.
That is a weird one, yeah. I mean, there's ways around this, of course, which you know this already, but it is interesting.
It's interesting. So I'm not sure how this one made it through the editing process.
Unless they're actually just like putting what's all in there and they didn't change anything.
So,
because that's coming from the assumption that they're editing stuff out there that they don't like.
Well,
that's not going to fit. We don't like that one. Get rid of that. That contradicts something over here. We need to get rid of that one.
Well, the scribes actually did do some of that stuff, but this is a curious one. It's either a contradiction or people saw Satan and Yahweh as the same entity from long ago.
Yeah.
Did I just sound like Trump right there?
You did. That was pretty good.
Long ago.
That was a good impersonation, dude. That's going to tick people off more than anything else you say on here. You do a Trump impersonation like, oh,
that wasn't on purpose.
No, I hate that guy now. Man.
Oh, Trump. Here's an interesting one. Take it or leave it. Jude 1:9, the dispute over Moses' body.
Yep. Another weird text.
Michael the archangel argues with the devil over Moses' body. Mm-hmm. But
is that kind of like over my dead body? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what it is like,
No, because Moses was already dead.
Right. Over Moses' dead body.
Over Moses' dead body.
Oh, I guess, you could be saying my. I got you.
But since Yahweh was the one that killed Moses, if you remember, on the Mount of Sinai for disobeying him, why is Michael asking Satan where his body is?
Maybe Satan stole it, dude.
Didn't we miss that part?
Well, not everything that happened is recorded for us, you know.
Yeah, all we know is that Yahweh killed Moses, and now Michael is asking Satan where his body is.
Right.
Interesting.
It's obviously because Michael knows that Yahweh is Satan.
If anybody would, Michael would.
I would hope so. They would probably know. See, they already know the answers to these questions that we're asking anyway.
They do.
They've seen all this already.
So, that was the hardest part, getting through that stuff for today. Now we get into
the hardest part?
Yeah, now we get into more interesting stuff.
Why was that the hardest part?
Because nobody likes to hear that Yahweh is Satan.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear it until just all the evidence piled up too strong. And there's even more than that.
What percentage would you put at that at this point in your like you're like 100% guaranteed?
I'm not 100% on anything.
Okay.
I will never tell you
99.9?
Well, the answer is more intricate than that. It's much more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
There is no real answer for that until I get down maybe another 20, 30 minutes, and you'll see why. But if you want a straightforward answer, 99.9.
Okay. You're pretty confident.
Oh yeah.
Pretty confident though.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And now this is what I ask you then. If you're that confident, in your view, why do you think there's so much of the rest of the religious world that would disagree with you? If the evidence is so compelling to make you so confident to say 99.9%, why is most of the rest of the religion be like, dude, no way, that's out there, man?
We've talked about this many times because Christians literally killed people who disagreed with them for 1,600 years straight.
And you think that's the vast majority of professing Christians are the people that are going to just silence people that go against what they want to believe?
Well, killing people is a pretty good deterrent.
Sure.
And they made examples of people for 1,600 years. They made examples of people.
But that's not happening as much today.
No, that's why we're able to. And we have the internet.
Right.
I mean, things are lining up for more stuff to be talked about.
Sure.
It's a beautiful.
But even though they wouldn't be killing people, you're saying they would still try to. They wouldn't even listen to what you have to say, because as soon as you said, "All right, Pastor Bob, let me explain to you why Satan is Yahweh," you think at that moment Pastor Bob would be like, "No, get out of my office. I don't even want to hear your evidence. I don't want to hear anything." And they kind of like do a la 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 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you think that's the vast majority of Christians in the country today? Yeah.
You're unique.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. One of my buddies said Ryan is really good at what he does. He's unique. He's really accepting. He's got good questions and all this stuff. It's like, I'm telling you, you are unique.
But I'm an anomaly in the Christian world.
You are an anomaly.
Do you think? Okay.
And not only that, but I'm 47.
Yeah.
I've been studying this stuff my whole life, on and off.
Yeah.
Why did it take me till I'm like 45 before I start finding some of these things? It's just hard to come across.
Yeah.
It's hard to find, but I dig pretty deep in a lot of issues, and eventually you kind of stumble across stuff. Yeah. But
you think it's for like the thrill of the chase? Like if let's say hypothetically in this scenario, God is, you're right. Everything you're saying right now is totally dead on, 100%. You're right. And the reason why you've had to spend so many years digging and searching and just to find these truths is because God's kind of like, I'm only going to let those that really want to know this find this out, right? I'm going to make this really difficult to get down into and find this truth that Yahweh is Satan and that Paul's a schmuck and that all this kind of stuff. Like, you're going to have to really show that you want all in on this. Like, you got to really show your, is that kind of the way you see it? Or okay.
I think you're locked in on your concept of God you've had your whole life, but the transcendent God is completely different, and maybe we'll get into it a little bit, but not necessarily. But this stuff has been around for 2,000 years, since the day Jesus died.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I have no doubt about that.
Yeah,
I have no doubt about that.
Jesus tried to warn us, as I'm pointing out. Soon thereafter, Marcion tried to warn us, saying Jesus' Father is completely different than the belligerent Old Testament God. The Gnostics tried to warn us. the Sethians, the Valentinians, the Ophites, the Cathars, even in the Middle Ages, they were trying to preach this stuff, but they got murdered.
Right.
They got murdered by that was in France. The Church of France murdered them. The mystics, the esotericists, there have been so many people who are onto this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think the conclusion is that Jesus is the archetype, I guess, of the serpent that was lifted up. The wise serpent in the garden, granting humanity self-awareness and access to the knowledge and the tree of life. So,
cool.
Jesus is still the hero. Mm-hmm. Still saves the day.
Yeah.
So, kind of to your question, what happened? I mean, what happened and where did we go wrong? And I think the term Elohim opens up a whole nother can of worms.
Okay.
Back to Genesis. And Elohim is a word that means gods. Mm-hmm. It's a plural word, just like cherubim, seraphim.
And it's neuter, right? It's not male or female.
No. What are Nephilim, Kedoshim, Anakim were the giants.
Right.
And in the Hebrew language, kind of like Spanish, you have conjugates. Mm-hmm. So it can say Ryan went to the store, or it can say Ryan, they went to the store. See how those aren't matching?
Yeah.
Similarly, in Genesis, it says, Elohim, let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
And God said, let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
And so what is translated as a singular should technically be a plural.
Right. It's almost like there's a trinity or something.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Yeah,
I think we might have just thought of a new theological revelation. We should call it the Trinity. And we should get a lot of people on board with this. Mm-hmm. It sounds pretty cool.
So there's Yahweh and the Serpent and the Holy Spirit saying, what should we do here?
That would be your Trinity. Yahweh and the Holy Spirit and what'd you say, and the Serpent?
The Serpent.
Nice. Yeah.
So we've all heard that one.
Yeah.
God said, let us make man in our image and our likeness.
Well, I wouldn't say we've all heard that one. I still meet a lot of people that, when I tell them that, they're like, whoa, really? It's plural? What?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense, Like, well, sure it does.
But if it stopped there, then I'd say, yeah, that's the Trinity, brother. But there's more. In Genesis 3, it said, then the Lord God Elohim said, behold, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil.
Yeah.
So whoever this or these Elohim are, the man is like them.
Okay.
The man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil.
But that's the qualifier, right? That's the way he's become like us, knowing good and evil. It doesn't mean they become exact replicants of Elohim.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like I could say, you have become like me in that you enjoy chai. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you and I are the exact same being. Or
Yep. Then in Genesis 11, but the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. Mm-hmm. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other.
Yeah.
So you have this Lord, Yahweh, or come down to see the city and the tower that people were building.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny.
So there's like, I first of all, let me say, I don't think that anything in the Bible, in my personal view, anything in the Bible is just a story, or maybe parables, but I mean, like, I think everything in Genesis, Exodus, all that actually happened, right? But if I was going to make an exception, it would be the Tower of Babel. Only because it just seems like a story somebody wrote to come up with like an Aesop fable to come up with the idea of how we got all of our languages, how we got all of our ethnicities, right? This is the cute little story that we can tell and be like, oh, well, here's what happened. They were building this tower, right? And they were all communicating, getting along. They were about to reach God, and God said, nah.
Isn't it strange?
So I'm going to go down and strike them all. So now they can't understand each other. They're speaking gibberish. They're speaking in tongues, and then they're going to be shipped out across the earth, and then they're all going to have, now we have, Chinese people and South Americans and all these other kind of stuff, and that's how it happened, right?
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, it's a strange story, but there's a lot like that. There's a lot of strange stories in the Bible that I have no idea about that. And those are the ones that skeptics always want to come at me with, right? This is what they bring to the table. Well, I don't believe in God. Well, why not? Well, because look what it says in this verse right here. It says that the woman's supposed to grab one of the men by his private parts and stop them from doing a fight. I'm like, what in the world? Like, it's like, what does it have to do with anything? Like, well, if that's in the Bible, I can't believe in your God. Okay, all right, whatever.
But from the start of that one, but the Lord had to come down to see the city in the tower before he can make a judgment. Well, look at what they're doing here. Yeah. They can do this.
So is that your point? Is like wherever he was before that, he couldn't see, and he had to go down, literally down.
That is one of my points.
Gotcha.
Is that he's anthropomorphic. He can't see from everywhere. Mm-hmm. But he said, "Let us go down." So, right now we're holding on to that's the Trinity.
Okay.
But.
Yeah.
Or you are.
Or at least the duity. I mean, it could be two, or the biety, or however you say it. It's a two version.
Yeah, let us go down and confuse their language. But one thing I wanted to point out is that just like in the garden, for some reason, God doesn't want humans to gain knowledge and power.
Sure.
Well, if they can build a tower this high, I can't have that.
Yeah.
Let's make them dumb.
Well, I mean, look at our world right now, man. Look at our country.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of people that got way too much power, and there you go. So, I might have to agree with God on this one.
But it is an interesting, interesting comparison. That let's kind of keep them dumb. Let's keep them to be the workers of the garden. If we would have just had it all things would have been good.
Right.
Also, Elohim is described as having physical qualities a lot. Walking in the garden, not knowing where Adam is. Where are you, Adam? Visiting Abraham and eating with him, wrestling with Jacob. And he spoke face to face with Moses. And there's dozens more of anthropomorphizing of God, of Yahweh.
Yeah.
But
they never do that with Jesus because he already is human. Right? He doesn't have to appear as figures and versions as like a spirit being obviously would have to come in the form of something else because you can't see a spirit, right? So I don't know what my point is there. I'm just I'm just talking because
I know what
based on what you just said.
No, I get your point.
I don't know if I have one. Do you get my point? Because I'm not sure if I have a point there. I think I was just responding to something.
I thought you were insinuating that every time God had to reveal himself, Jesus was the one who embodied it and came on the scene.
No, I actually wasn't even going there.
I
was just making the distinction because you kept talking about how every time that we see Yahweh in the Old Testament, he's that big word you said, anthropomorphized or whatever. Like he's becoming a figure. He's coming in the form of something else, like when the angel wrestled with Jacob or those kind of things. My only point, it was not really a point, I just a thought I had, was that we couldn't say, well, in the New Testament God or Jesus or whatever, he didn't come in the form of all this stuff. Well, because he wasn't spirit, he was human. He didn't have to. I mean, he was a man walking around in that area of the world, right? Like he didn't have to do that. To where if God is the spirit came down and wrestled with Jacob, he wouldn't know what happened. He'd just be like, dude, that was weird. I was just standing here, and like a wind blew, and all of a sudden I was wrestling on the ground with nobody, and now he's gone, and I got this bloody lip, and I got all this stuff going. I don't know what happened,
Nobody would believe him.
Right, exactly. He'd make it up, he'd make up some story, like, he'd be like, oh man, his wife hit him again or something, Came home too late from the bar.
Your wife kicked your fly. No, I swear.
I was an angel. Yeah. God wrestled with me. Yeah.
Jacob.
That's why I love that. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but that Jim Gaffigan skit where he's talking about Moses and the burning bush. He's like, could you imagine being that guy? He's like, hey, God just spoke to me through a burning bush. They're like, sure, Moses. Yeah. We think you were burning some bush over there.
It's good. Jim's so good. I saw him in Santa Barbara Bowl.
Oh, see, I've never seen him live. I love him, though.
It was so weird because there's nothing on... I've been to the Santa Barbara Bowl many times. And this stage is full of people and equipment and instruments.
Right.
And he walks out on this completely blank stage all by himself. And it was so awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this guy doing up there? I'm so awkward for him.
Yeah.
And all these people just staring at this one guy. What can he possibly do right now?
Yeah.
And within like 3 seconds, the whole place is cracking
up. Yeah.
And then for an hour and a half straight, the whole place is cracking up. I was like, that is such an amazing thing what these guys are able to do.
For sure, yeah. And he feeds on the awkwardness. Like, he just puts it in his show. Like, it's all part of his act, you know? So,
I love it.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, really, really good. But,
so good.
Anyway, where are we heading? Are we still in the same spot, or are we going to a new chapter?
We are in Genesis.
Okay.
And we're talking about the attributes of Elohim. Elohim is plurality for God.
Yep.
And Genesis 6 says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. They were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves.
Another great section of Scripture that's really easy to understand.
Yeah, all of whom they chose. When the sons of God came into the daughters of women, and they bore children with them, they were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. But I want to tie this in to where Elohim said, let us make man in our image.
Yeah, but before you do, just real quick, this probably is nowhere where you're going.
It's not.
But I want to know what your thoughts are on this, because when it says the son of man went into the daughters, the sons of God went into the daughters of men. Daughters of men, that's obvious. Human women. Who are the sons of God in your opinion in this text?
I think this is on the next page.
Oh, but you're going to get there.
Yeah.
You are going there. Okay, good. I wasn't sure if you were going to get there or not. I thought that was a different thing. All right, I'll just listen to you.
Oh, no, this just keeps getting
better. All right.
Better.
Let's keep pulling the layers off the onion, baby.
Interesting and more interesting. But Elohim said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. That's not just knowing good from evil.
Sure.
And that's the only way that their sons can procreate with human women.
Okay.
We are literally made in the image and likeness of these Elohim.
So the sons of God then are just human men?
They are the sons of Elohim.
Okay.
Which most people say are like angels.
Oh, so angels.
I'm not saying anything else.
Well, but hang on. But if we're talking, this is why I asked the question, though, because if we're talking about straight across the board spirit beings, right? Angels are spirit beings, correct?
They can become corporeal.
Can they?
Yeah, they're in the Bible all the time.
All right.
They
can be seen, but can they exhibit like physicalness? See, I'm making up words. Mm-hmm. The physicality of a human. Like, in other words, can an angel have sex with a human woman?
What happened with Lot in that scenario? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What happened? Who was trying to rape who?
They came and they wanted to sleep with the men.
Who?
Were they angels?
Yeah.
Were they mentioned as angels?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and because then Lot gives him his daughters, which is a great thing to do. What a godly great thing to do right there. There is no universe where I do that. No, there's no. I'm going to come out there with a shotgun before I give my daughters up for something like that.
Oh, no, you know what it was? It was backwards. Okay. All the thugs from the town wanted to come and rape
with the angels.
That
You're
Lot
right.
was trying to protect.
You're right.
And he wanted to protect the angels so much that he gave up his daughters.
Right.
But the point that they wanted to rape these angels kind of shows that they're corporeal.
Well, maybe. All it really shows
Otherwise, he shouldn't be giving up his daughter.
Well, all it shows is that the men believed it was. Right? The men saw these guys with wings or whatever, like fat cherub babies, and they're like, hey, I've never been with one of those before.
I think they could have fended for themselves.
Yeah. I'm sure they could have. They could have just cast fire down and destroyed everybody.
That's just unfortunate that he gave up his daughters.
It is, dude. It's terrible. It's one of those sections of Scripture that you're like, why?
But I think I'm drawing a parallel that when they say, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, that's more than just knowing things.
I would agree. So to you, what is image and likeness? What does that mean to you?
Like everything about us, like our
Exact replica.
almost.
Okay,
And
what's
that's
the
why
difference?
they're able to have sex and have babies with these offspring of the gods.
Okay.
The gods of the Elohim. And this is where... wait, do you have any more questions before I move on?
No.
This is where
I mean, I will. I still do, but I'm going to
I
let
know.
you go where you're going, and then we'll keep talking about it.
This is where we get into ancient epics of creation from Mesopotamia and Babylon and Sumeria and Ur of the Chaldees.
Okay.
So we have these epics of creation that we found in the 19th and 20th centuries, and they have their creation stories that somewhat align with the Genesis account, which
Okay.
is very fascinating
Yeah.
because we didn't even find these creation accounts until the 19th and 20th century, which is pretty late in the game.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But they are at least 1,000 years older than the Hebrew Bible.
What date do you put the Hebrew Bible at?
About they finalized it after the exile at Babylon, so about 586, and they were writing around that time, around 586 BC.
Okay.
BC, yeah.
Okay.
And these are from anywhere from 1500 to 2000 BC. So
Gotcha.
these are the most ancient documents humans have on record. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest legitimate story of the human race.
Okay.
And that's from about 2100 BC.
Right.
So these all predate the Bible. And so when you compare all these stories, you start to see parallels. And that's where I wanted to get into. I just asked, for this one, I just asked AI. I just asked Gemini. That's what I use sometimes.
Okay.
I use Grok and Gemini. And
Yeah. It's kind of a neat thing to use when
It's
you
incredible.
when you need something done quick.
Yes, it's incredible. I've been using it for more and more
Yeah.
stuff lately. But I just asked them, what are some of the similarities between these documents? The Babylonian one called the Enuma Elish, the Mesopotamian one called the Atrahasis, the Sumerian one called the Eridu Genesis, and another Mesopotamian one called the Myth of Adapa. And Adapa is Adam.
Okay.
And the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in these stories, Adam and God and all these figures all have different names, but it's easy to tell who they are because Adapa is Adam, and it tells the story of Adam and how he's created from clay or mud or whatnot. Depending on what they say in these stories, they're all a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it's easy to tell who builds a boat when it's about to rain. They all have different names. Atrahasis is what's Noah.
That one's easy to tell because Atrahasis and Noah, I mean, they sound almost spot on.
I can't keep up with all these.
Yeah.
So I asked AI, what are the commonalities between all these books? They primarily shared themes of creation stories, including a primordial chaos, the earth being a silent, empty, and dark void, a battle between the gods, the creation of humanity to serve the gods in the garden or digging canals, and a significant flood narrative where humanity is nearly destroyed, often leading to a covenant between the gods and surviving humans. All these stories reflect the ancient Near Eastern culture understanding of the origins of the world and human existence. I didn't include the Bible in this comparison.
Yeah.
So if you see any of these themes that sound similar to the Bible, that's what these...
They fit, yeah.
Yes.
But see, the Christian theologians would say that proves that the Bible's true.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right? Because you have all these different stories that are so much the same with
agree.
little minor differences maybe here and there.
You and I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do.
Yes.
All the narratives depict the beginning as a chaotic state, the world being formed from primordial waters and formless void, which is eventually ordered by the gods through a cosmic battle or creative acts. There's divine conflicts. Each story features a conflict among the gods, with powerful deities battling to establish dominance and order in the universe. Humans are created by the gods to serve as laborers, providing them with offerings and maintaining the cosmic order. The Eridu Genesis Humans are fashioned from clay to cultivate the ground, care for the flocks, and perpetually worship the gods. There's the flood narrative. It's verbatim, basically, to Noah and the ark.
Right.
I don't need to go into
Except
that.
it's our Atrahasis and the ark.
Atrahasis
and the ark.
Yep.
Yeah.
So while the core themes are similar, each myth features a unique pantheon of gods with distinct names and characters for all these guys. And so to answer your earlier question, is Yahweh Satan?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jesus the serpent? It's kind of assuming that the Bible is correct in every way, shape, and form. There's only one version of the story, and we need to read every word of it as gospel, and there's some kind of important message in there. Jesus is the serpent. Well, no, not necessarily. He may be an archetype of the serpent, but there's no perfect hidden secret message in any of these books that give you the exact perfect answer of the exact perfect of who everyone is, because they're all paraphrasing from each other. They're all very similar, but they're all different too.
Right.
There's no serpent in the Atrahasis story. It's something different.
Yeah. Atrahasi is Noah, so there wouldn't be a serpent in that anyway.
Well, it's a bigger story. It's the whole story.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The Enuma Elish has Enki and Enlil discussing Adam and what we should do with Adam, not Yahweh and the serpent. It was Enlil who wanted to flood the earth, and Enki who's telling Utnapishtim, that's the other name for Noah.
Yeah.
And Atrahas. They all have a slightly
How
different
come
name.
we don't name our kids this kind of stuff?
I love
these are some
Utnapishtim.
golden names here that we're just not using. We're using boring ones.
Yes, we are.
Boring Bible names.
Utnapishtim, clean your room.
Yeah, right? Right?
Love it.
Or you hear the teacher call and roll call with that one? I mean, that'd be all about it, man. Think of all the nicknames he would have.
Hey, Ron.
Dude, I've been watching so much more of them lately. They're stinking funny, dude.
Timeless.
Every clip I see. Did you see that? Did I mention this one to you? I don't know. I mentioned this to everybody real quick. The one where they're trying to do a Zoom call with each other. Have you seen that one? Where like Key's at his house and Peel's at his house, and they're trying to talk to each other through like a Skype. That's what it is. It's like a Skype call. Remember Skype? Before we had
Skype.
Zoom, it was Skype, and they're trying to talk to each other, but they keep freezing. Dude, I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
Nice,
dude.
My
It is
son and I
so
watched
funny.
a lot of these. I'm gonna have to show. I haven't seen that one,
dude. It's
I'll pull that one
so
up tonight.
funny, dude. Oh my gosh, it's funny.
Last night we were painting pumpkins. Tonight we'll be watching Key and Peele.
There you go. You're painting pumpkins already, huh? A little early. Oh, I guess you're painting them.
We're painting them so they don't get all moldy.
Rot. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
I guess that's the new school thing.
It is the new thing, yeah. Which is kind of like, I mean, come on. I mean, how else are the fruit flies going to eat?
Yeah.
You know?
They just get all moldy.
Yeah, they do. They look kind of cool. Like the face sags down, and they got like ooze coming out of their mouth. They look all like.
Actually, I drew a cool face, so I might, the couple days before actual Halloween, I might carve that puppy out.
Yeah.
And then toss it.
Yeah.
But they only last like a week. So
a week tops. Mine don't even last that long. After they're carved, it's like 2-3 days maybe before they start to sag.
Oh, you know what I want to do this year is a time lapse on that bad boy.
That'd be fun. You should, dude.
Those are cool. I love time lapses.
Yeah. And you should do it for like 2 months.
Yeah.
To where it starts as a good looking pumpkin to where it's just a pile of goo on your porch.
Cool. I'm on it.
Make sure you share it with me when you do. Come like December, January. You're like, all right, dude, here's the time lapse for the.
Yeah. When they do it right, they look so cool. But you got to be in a dark room with the same light on every time, so the shadows aren't all over the place.
Yeah.
With a good camera on a tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back to the Elohim.
Yes.
And all these ancient stories. The Elohim to the Gnostic is the archons. To these other ancient Mesopotamian stories, the Elohim are the Anunnaki. In the book of Enoch, it's the Watchers. There's the powerful ones. There's the pantheons of the world. Every culture, every continent, every generation has these gods, has these pantheons that the Bible calls one entity,
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh.
Yeah.
And so when you ask me who Yahweh is, I'm like, well, first of all, it's supposed to be an Elohim, a pantheon of gods. And so
meaning multiple
gods.
Gotcha.
And so the whole,
which is different than the Trinity idea.
Totally different.
Because Trinity wouldn't say multiple gods; it would say what multiple personalities. How do they word it? In one God, 3 in 1. Yeah.
So I'm saying, the Bible took a different route than the rest of the world when it called it one God.
Well, they took the correct route. That's why. They were like, all right, we need to do the right one here. So we're going to pick the right one.
Okay. Okay, you stick with that. Well, if Elohim means many gods, does that mean ancient Israel knew about these many gods? And that's the question.
Okay.
And Mark Smith is one of the most widely cited scholars on this topic. He discusses how the Israelite deity Yahweh gradually assimilated the qualities of other gods, moving Israel from polytheism to monotheism. And
So you think Israel was polytheistic?
Yes. Early Israel was 100% polytheistic. They came from, before they were Israel, they came from the Canaanite region, and they came from the Ur of the Chaldees.
Right.
And
Well, that's where Abraham came from, but he's kind of the father of the Israelites, right? Like there wasn't, like you look at Genesis, we're not talking about the Israelites. Israel didn't exist when Adam and Eve were in the garden. That wasn't until after the flood, after the whole deal, right? Wait, flood? Yeah. Flood was first, right? Then there was Abraham. Abraham was after the flood, right?
That's how I understand it.
So when Abraham comes on the scene, and then God, creates, in a sense, the nation of Israel through Abraham.
Father Abraham. Many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham.
Right.
And I am one of them.
And I am one of them, and so are you. No, but then if Abraham, they always called him the God. They called him the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Mm-hmm. They never said the gods of or the many gods of.
They did early on. But
in what and where though? Where are you seeing
remember that these were oral traditions. The whole Judaism religion was oral traditions for a long time, up until their Babylonian exile, when they said, man, we got to write this stuff down. But by that time, they were already monotheistic. Yeah. And I hadn't even got to this quote by Mark Smith. I described who he is and what he's all about. But his quote is, the polytheistic nature of the early Israelite religion, pre-exilic, and Israel's gradual evolution toward monotheism are taken as unquestionably true in current biblical scholarship. So this is a common knowledge, is what he's saying among biblical scholars. They say the further back you go, the more polytheistic the Israelites were.
And you say that's common. That's common knowledge among.
Unquestionably true is what this Bible scholar says. Another Bible scholar, James D.G. Dunn, says the essential meaning of the first commandment was not a denial of the existence of other gods, but the prohibition of the worship of the other gods.
Okay, so obviously, there is polytheism in the Bible.
There is not by others.
By others, that's my point. So when you're saying that this particular scholar, what's the word? That was a pretty definite way to say it. What did he say? Without a doubt, or it's definite? Unquestionably true, right? That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So he's saying it's unquestionably true that the Israelites were polytheistic in their early incarnation. Mm-hmm. So he's saying that when Abraham, so he must be talking about Abraham and beyond. He's not talking about where they came from prior to Abraham, or where the people group came from, and then they became the Israelites. He's literally talking about after Abraham, these people that would call themselves the Israelites, or the Jewish nation, or the Judah, or whatever, that they were polytheistic.
Yes, I think the key words he says is that Yahweh gradually assimilated the qualities of other gods. Mm-hmm. So that's one reason why in one page, God is this loving figure. You turn the page, and he's a complete a-hole. He's saying he assimilated all the qualities of these gods. And these gods, if you look at all the Mesopotamian records, they're not all good. Mm-hmm. They're capricious. They fight against each other. They have different ideas. They're fighting over the the fate of humanity, and Yahweh is assimilating all the qualities of these gods as they move from polytheism to henotheism to monotheism. And henotheism is still in the Bible today. They whitewashed out all the polytheism.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Henotheism means you believe in all these other gods, that they're real,
Okay.
but you only worship one.
Oh, they're not false gods. They're real other gods. So that still is polytheistic.
No,
In a
polytheism means
sense.
you worship multiple gods.
It does?
Yes.
Okay. It's just not. It's not just the belief in multiple gods. It's the worship of
Correct.
multiple gods. Gotcha.
So
So Heno means you believe in them, but you don't worship them.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why Yahweh kept saying, there is none like, who is like Yahweh among the gods? It says that a few times in the Bible.
Sure.
I mean, that's henotheism right there. So that's kind of their transition from poly to monotheism. And according to the scholars, it's unquestionably true. So my question is, it's obvious that there's henotheism. Where is the paper trail of polytheism in the Bible? And of the
Israelites, anyway.
Of the Israelites. And the multiplicity of gods. Where are these gods, the Elohim, that all these Mesopotamians records show? And sure enough, I found it in the Bible.
Okay, let's
wanna
hear it,
see
man.
it?
I would love to.
It's a trip.
That's what we're here for, man.
I came across this stuff and it blew my flipping mind. Like Deuteronomy 32,
It's a good book right there.
8 and 9,
That's a bedtime book.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Yep.
That's in the Pentateuch.
Yep.
It's in the first 5 books.
Yep.
And it says, when the Most High, Elyon, gave to the nations their inheritance, their inherited land, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. But the Lord Yahweh's portion is his people, Israel, his allotted inheritance. So we have the Most High God, who's called El Elyon, and he divvied up the nations, their inheritance, and it says, but Yahweh's portion is his people, Israel, his allotted heritage. What?
It's interesting.
Isn't that
Can
amazing?
you say the verse one more time?
Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 through 9. You have the Most High God divvying up to all the other gods, Yahweh being one of them, and Israel is his allotted inheritance.
I'm sorry, Deuteronomy 32, 8 through 9?
Yes.
Got to look at that one now. Oh, interesting.
And
Interesting other translation is different. I mean, this is the first one that came up was NIV, which I don't love.
oh yeah, don't use
Which
that
one are you reading from?
I like the ESV.
That's the ESV? Okay,
Yeah.
let me see the ESV. Because listen, before I go to the ESV, listen to what the NIV says. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided all mankind, he set up boundaries for the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel.
That's BS. I already looked up the original Hebrew.
You did? Okay. So you're using the ESV?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Calvinistic Bible, dude. Not really, but most Calvinists, I know that's their favorite translation.
It's a great translation.
Yeah. So the Most High gave the nations their inheritance when he divided all mankind. No. That's not... The ESV? That still says Israel.
Well, I'm referring to the oldest manuscripts.
Okay.
So
in Hebrew it says sons of God.
Sons of God.
Gotcha.
It absolutely does, and it's confirmed by the Dead Sea Scrolls and other ancient manuscripts.
Okay, let's say that says sons of God, and let's use some of what you've been doing as we've been talking.
Sure.
Because you just read a verse a little while ago that said God's only son is Israel.
Yeah, that was his allotted inheritance.
Right, so if you said sons of God, it could be referring to Israel there, correct? By your own way of kind of putting things together?
Well, there's a progression here. The Most High divvied up to the sons of God, Yahweh being one of them, Israel was divvied up to Yahweh. So we're talking about 3 levels here. Elyon,
Yeah.
which translates the Most High, Yahweh, and his inheritance was Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 levels. And
Well, there's already an interesting thing, even without getting into the separating or the sons of Israel, any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the Most High, then you have Yahweh.
Exactly.
So that alone is worth looking into.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, because that's like, wait a minute, you have Yahweh, and there's a one higher than Yahweh.
Yep. And
So
that's what that
interesting.
agrees with the Mesopotamian
Right.
manuscripts.
Right.
The Most High in the Mesopotamian manuscripts was called Anu.
Okay.
And Anu's 2 sons were Enlil and Enki.
Okay.
And those were the creators. Enlil and Enki were the creators.
Is
like
Enki
Yahweh.
short for anything? It has to be. Is it short for like Ankylosaurus or Ankylo something?
No, it's
It
not.
can't be the only name. It has to be a
Enki.
nickname.
It's too short.
Enki. Yeah. Maybe his full name is Stanky.
Yes.
And
I'll go with that.
they take the ST off.
I'll go with that.
Okay. I like that.
That's
Good
his
stuff.
Mesopotamian name.
Yeah.
His Akkadian name was
Yeah.
Ea.
Yes.
He has many names as well.
And every time I keep getting the song in my head every time you say Mesopotamia. So
Okay.
I'm definitely have to rock
I'm
that
gonna listen
song
to
as
that on
soon
my
as,
own.
soon as you go home.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that on. So.
That's not the only passage.
Okay.
Psalm 82 says, God, Elohim this time, it's not Elyon or Yahweh, Elohim stands in the divine assembly. He administers judgment in the midst of the gods and says, how long will you judge unjustly and respect the wicked, rescue the poor and needy, deliver them out of the hand of the wicked? I have said, you are gods and sons of the Most High, Elyon, all of you. Nevertheless, you shall die like mere men. So once again, we have the levels, El Elyon, and then we have what they call the divine assembly in the midst of the gods. Yahweh reigns. So we have this again, 3 levels, El Elyon, and then the rest of the sons of God, the Elohim.
And that was Psalms 82?
Psalm 82, verse 1 through 6.
Okay. This is all homework for me for later.
Yes, it is.
That's why I keep having to repeat it. That way when I listen through, I can write this stuff down and go do
And
some research.
that's not the only ones. There's another one. Psalm 89, 5 through 7. It says, and so the heavens will praise your wonderful deed, O Yahweh, even your faithfulness in the assembly of the holy ones. For who in the sky is equal to Yahweh? Who is like Yahweh among the sons of the Most High, El Elyon? A God feared greatly in the council of the holy ones. There it is again.
So this is David writing the psalm, or is that someone else?
I don't know.
Assuming it's David. David is saying, who is like Yahweh? He's praising Yahweh.
Yes.
Okay.
Who is like Yahweh among the assembly
Right.
of the
But you would
holy
say
ones?
that David is deceived here.
What do you mean?
Well, because he's praising Satan, in your view. He's praising Yahweh, which in your view is the devil. So he's deceived. He thinks that Yahweh is the worthy of praise. He's the God of all the universe, but David is off here.
Well, Yahweh is one of the gods,
Okay.
and he's a very powerful entity. When the Old Testament was written, like that Bible scholar said, there's evidence that they kind of merged together, assimilated the qualities of other gods to Yahweh. So they're kind of merging them together. This happens to be an old verse. This may have been when Yahweh was starting to usurp the throne of all the other gods.
Okay.
Because we start to see how Yahweh, like in Exodus 15, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Yahweh said, For thou shalt worship no other God. For the Lord, whose name is a jealous God. You start to see him as a God of war.
Okay.
He's not content with
So do you think he started off as a good dude? Yahweh was a good God in the beginning, and then he started to kind of like morph into more of a bloodthirsty, warmongering kind of guy, and then he became, and like you said, he started to like take on all these other gods as attributes, and then.
Well, that's the thing. It's difficult to say because we're reading a book that was written throughout different ages, taking on different oral traditions. And these oral traditions were copied from the Mesopotamian traditions, and they have their own oral traditions through Abraham and Moses and all this.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to say what happened, but if we want to interpret it in light of the Mesopotamian records, these gods are very similar to humans. They're just more advanced, powerful, smart.
Which we can attain if we're talking about, if we're going back to...
We go back.
What we were talking about the last few times.
We were made in their image.
Right.
And these are very powerful gods.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to Yahweh, he had good and bad qualities. And we can see that you can see that in Mesopotamia, we can see that in the Bible.
Yeah.
He had good and bad qualities. And that's, in my view.
Yeah.
And I mean, even he said himself, I am the creator of evil. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember
verse.
that one, yeah.
I create evil, I do good,
Yeah. Which that was one I was going to look into and I totally forgot. So that's going to go on my list now too.
There you go. Before the Israelites were Israelites, they came out of Canaan, the Ur of the Chaldees, and there were all these other gods. And as Deuteronomy 32 says, the Most High El Elyon gave them to the nations their inherited land, and Yahweh's portion was Israel. He started to usurp the other gods because he's a god of war. He didn't want to be messing with all these other gods, and so he kind of takes over, and then that's how he's remembered throughout history.
Are you anti a god of war? Do you think God should not be a god of war?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I would prefer a god who's into war, just to be upfront and truthful about it. I'm a god of war. What I say goes.
Yeah.
Just tell me who you are. Tell me what you do.
Yeah, because I'm fine with that as long as I just make sure I'm on the right side. I would hate to be like the brunt of the god of war. I'd rather be like fighting with the god of war, or at least in his camp. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because if he's fighting for what's good and right and true, and I'm on that team, I see that as a good thing.
I don't, because I think there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture.
I hope so.
There's reincarnation. There's an upward trajectory of human spiritual evolution, and I wouldn't want to get tied down on one existence, one planet, whether I just because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I disagree with you, but I'll kiss your butt.
Well, no, I wouldn't even disagree. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be that guy. Yeah. I wouldn't be like cowering. Like, oh, just don't kill me. I'll do whatever you say.
Right.
I'd be like, no, if this hypothetical situation is this God is literally fighting for what's right and good and true, like just absolute truth kind of deal, then I'm going to be right on board with that anyway. I'm not going to be against that. If he's wiping out false and he's wiping out evil and he's wiping out all that kind of stuff, then I think that's great. That's awesome. You know, but I say that kind of stuff, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, Ryan, who are you to determine what's true?" No, I'm not determining that. That's what I'm saying. The hypothetical is that it is true, right? And we can call that a hypothetical because not everybody believes in absolute truth. Everybody believes in relative truth, and whatever is true to you is true to you, and true to me is true to me. Which, of course, is a series of questions. In 5 minutes, you can disprove that kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense. You know, we can have opinions about things, but some things just are true. It doesn't matter what I think about it. It just is. It's the way it is, you know. And, of course, people have different views on what those things are, but...
Right.
But, anyway.
So when it comes to a war god...
Yeah.
What if you compare it to a government? What if Trump went into cities and started killing bad guys?
Again, I would say the same thing. I would say, see, this is why that gets me in trouble. Because we have a whole thing in our country right now. Hang on, let me explain it. We have this whole thing in our country right now where we've gotten, in my opinion, too soft on certain things. Where we're saying, oh yeah, sure, he molested and killed a 5-year-old, but let's let him out. He's better now, right? So we keep doing this, and there's all this repeat offenders, and these families are losing loved ones because some guy's psychotic, and we have way too much compassion.
Yeah, lock him up.
Right, we should have compassion. I'm not saying we should be like, oh, we don't care about anybody. You know, you ran a red light, we're shooting you in the face. No, that's obviously too harsh, but I think we've gone way too far to the other side.
I agree.
So again, back to your Trump scenario, this is a difficult one because he's Trump, and you never know why he's doing what he's doing. But if we're going to paint it as a hypothetical, it would have to be the hypothetical that Trump is going through and again, just like the God scenario, he's fighting for what is definitely right and true. Then I would back that for sure. But I don't think that's ever going to happen because he's a man and he's fallible and he's already shown that he makes lots of mistakes and he's a human. He acts like a human, so that's difficult. But that's why if we're talking about a god, like a literal god, then obviously he's different than humans.
Well, my point and what I'm trying to point out is they're not that much different.
Trump and God?
No, us.
You're here to hear, folks.
Yes, Trump, humans, God. We're all subject to our emotions.
Okay.
And as these Mesopotamian books called out many times, there was a lot of infighting between the gods. And what I'm pointing out is that Yahweh is trying to usurp the power of all these other gods, even in the Old Testament. And it's fascinating, and it kind of lines up with these Mesopotamian, Akkadian, Assyrian books.
And you believe that these other gods are true, actual deities?
We'll get there.
Okay.
But even in the Bible, we talk about the pantheon of other countries and other books. But even in the Bible, you have El Elyon, who is the God Most High. Baal.
Yeah.
We all know about Anat is in the Bible. Dagon is in the Bible, god of the Philistines. Yeah. Shemosh, the god of the Moabites.
God? Dagon, that's the fish god, right?
Yes, good. Yeah. Wow, nicely done. Milcom of the Ammonites, Kos of the Edomites, the Melkart of the Phoenicians, and Yahweh, the war god of the Israelites.
You left out Molech. Where's Molech? That's the one they were feeding their babies to in the Bible.
Is that possibly Baal? It might be another name for Baal because they all have these different names.
Depending on the language, probably.
Entity. Yeah. But these all match the gods, and there's even more gods in the Ugaritic texts and the lists of gods, and that's a Canaanite city of Ugarit. One story, we touched on this story already, but King Ahaziah of Israel, son of Ahab and Jezebel, was injured and sent messengers to inquire of Baalzebub, the god of Ekron, about his recovery. And the angel of the Lord sent Elijah, because he was pissed off. Why would you be going to another god when I can try to help you? He intercepted the messengers to tell them that because Ahaziah sought a foreign god instead of the God of Israel, he would surely die. And that's where they came to intercept. He rained down fire on the 50 men. 50 more men came. He rained down fire and killed those 50 men.
Yeah.
And he's like, he sends 50 more, and those 50 bow down and say, please don't murder us. We're just the messengers. But Yahweh was pissed at that point.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that they went to seek help from other entities.
Yeah.
Beelzebub.
I bet they didn't do that again.
No, they didn't. Well, especially the first 100.
See, I would have went the other way. All right, we've already sent two companies of 50 down there, and they've all burned them to a crisp. And now we want you guys to go down there. I'd be like, nah, dude. I'll see you. If you want to cut my head off, go for it. But I'm not going down there. Not going to happen.
So it took about 700 years for the Israelites to stop worshiping Yahweh exclusively. So there was this transition that I was talking about from henotheism to monotheism.
Right.
And this is overwhelming consensus among the scholars of their subject matter, like anthropology, archaeology, and religious studies. It's just kind of common knowledge now. But
except for the Christians who are denying all of it.
Correct.
And they're like, no, get that away from me. We don't want that. Doesn't line up with our theology, so
correct.
Burn it.
Correct.
Okay.
But who am I to judge?
Yeah.
But the question remains, right? Who is Yahweh? Who is Satan? Who are all these other gods throughout history? And that, it just keeps getting better. Check this out. Okay.
You're about to blow my mind right now. I can
tell.
All right.
The question remains, who actually is Yahweh,
okay.
Satan, and all these Elohim, all these gods that the Mesopotamian records and the Bible talks about. And I think the best way to figure this out is to read all the ancient stories of the cultures around the world.
All right.
Because they tell
Let's
us...
do it, man. We got about an hour left. Let's hit it.
Yes, every single one.
This will be more like an audiobook episode.
Yes.
You're just reading the text, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, they tell us all we need to know. It's literally the ancient stories, the ancient records.
Okay.
I already introduced a few of them, the Mesopotamian and the Babylonian. I've introduced those. I didn't read much from them.
Okay.
But the Mesopotamian records considered their gods to be celestial beings or sky people who originated from on high and resided in the heavens. And this is a pervasive feature of the Mesopotamian literature, as well as stories of pantheons from around the world.
Okay.
And this is where we turn the page into what we call Paleocontact. Have you ever heard that term?
Nope.
Have you ever?
I've heard of the paleo diet. Is that the same thing?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the term ancient astronaut theory?
No.
Okay.
Ancient astronauts.
Yeah.
I thought astronauts started with, like, what's his name? The first step for mankind. Who's that guy's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Bro,
What's
you
his
gotta
name?
know his name.
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
There it is. Gotcha.
I've seen so many memes where they're using a different Armstrong. And Lance Armstrong said, this is the first step.
Yeah.
There was another Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Stretch Armstrong's got to be in there, too.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
That's funny.
So, yeah. Ancient astronaut theory, or Paleocontact is the term I prefer, because these gods that come from on high, or these sky people, or these Elohim, whatever you want to call them, that's what they are. They came down and visit us. They're advanced civilizations who come, who create us in terms of manipulating DNA. And
so they're not humans,
but
they've created humans.
They made us in their image.
Okay.
And so we are a lot like them.
But would you say that they are human?
I prefer to call them like cousins or humans.
Okay.
These
So not like
deities.
green spaceman with
No, absolutely
tentacles
not.
and...
No, some of them look like that.
Okay.
But the world, the universe is a huge place. There's all kinds of different entities. I don't know how many you've heard about, but there's a lot.
I've seen a lot of movies.
Yeah,
I've
counts.
never seen them all, but you know.
Well, my worldview, we've talked about, it's very cross-cultural, and it's based on philosophy and epistemology. I try to be a good critical thinker and explorer. I try to have freedom of thought, like what we call Bayesian epistemology. But if I'm wrong on something, I don't want to dwell on it. I'll just refine it and move on.
Sure.
But this is I think this is going to be another hard one for people to swallow.
Okay.
As you could probably tell.
I hope so. I don't expect anything less when you come over here.
I love it. So this is my conclusion based on bringing everything together.
Okay.
And the ancient astronaut theory is on the History Channel, and it's what sometimes people will kind of laugh at.
It's a show on the History Channel?
Yeah.
Where they talk about ancient astronaut theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Paleocontact. And it just shows that we weren't the first ones here. There's something bigger came before us and helped us and taught us and all that. But
they probably built Stonehenge while they were here too, I bet.
Bingo.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And the pyramids and the whole deal.
Yep. I think you're onto something.
Okay.
But the point, one of the main points is, from a human perspective, entities or beings that are highly advanced and highly intelligent and probably possess ESP are indistinguishable from what we would call gods. Can you agree with that?
In this context. Yeah.
Right, in this context.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
They would be indistinguishable.
Yeah.
We would call them gods.
Because they would be like superhumans. They would have abilities that we don't have.
And they created us to be who we are. However they did that, I don't have the answer for that.
Right.
You look in all the ancient records and they have a slightly different methodology. But
they didn't create us in the same way. They didn't give us all the same powers. They made us inferior.
Yes, they did.
That,
well,
dude.
Remember they created us to be workers?
Yeah.
Workers of the garden, digging trenches.
Slaves. Slaves, one might say.
To an extent. Yes, until the serpent broke us free.
Yeah.
Which was probably Enki.
I bet it was Enki.
Instead of Enlil.
I'm going to go with Enki because I like that name.
So the fundamental premise of Paleocontact, its main proponents have been Eric Van Doniken. Have you ever heard of him? Zechariah Sitchin?
Nope.
Oh,
most of these guys I hear are from you, so
he's a famous one.
Okay.
And then more recently, Paul Wallace, and I brought up his name already.
Yep.
It's just that ancient humans encountered highly advanced non-human beings. These beings possess technology and knowledge far beyond our human comprehension at the time, and consequently, early humans interpreted these beings and their technology as divine. And these interpretations form the basis of their religious belief systems and pantheons around the world.
Okay.
So
are they personable? Do they care about us, or no?
They're just like us. There's the good ones, the bad ones, and everything in between.
Okay, but did they create it? What was the purpose of them creating? Just to have workers? Like they need us to till the earth and keep cows going and like.
That's what the Bible and all these other documents mention. They say tend the garden, dig trenches, and do this other stuff.
Yeah.
Some of these documents get a little more into it, but you don't know for sure.
Okay.
You kind of get the gist of what they're saying.
Kind of makes you wonder to what end, though. Like if they want us to till the ground and keep all that stuff for what? Like what's the ultimate goal there? Just to keep the earth going forever and ever and ever and ever? Well, they're probably cheesed off about the whole climate change thing. They're probably like, these humans, man, we created them.
I might agree with you.
And they're just messing everything up with their cow farts and their insatiable appetite for, ribeye and all that kind of stuff. Just destroying everything.
Cow farts.
One
of the documents says we were created with their blood. The Bible says we were created in their image. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking most likely a DNA issue, DNA manipulation between them and whatever the top dog primate was on the planet.
Okay.
So we can, breathe the air better than they could. That's why they probably
took like some chimps and they messed with the DNA of the chimp and then they made us.
And surprisingly, the chimps have 24 chromosome pairs and we have 23. And we know exactly where that last chromosome pair was actually manipulated and fused. And it's very, very rare in nature for something like that to happen. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, there it is, and we can see it. So that might have something to do with it. I'm not dogmatic about that.
Okay.
Because at this stage in the game, I'm less dogmatic, and I'm more like, this is interesting, this is fascinating. Mm-hmm. But the scientific term of what I'm talking about is called panspermia, where entities from around the galaxy, they go from habitable planet to habitable planet, spreading their culture, spreading who they are, what they want to do. Sometimes they're working, sometimes they're getting natural resources out of the planet, which may have been what they're doing here, having people dig trenches and tend to the gardens and stuff. But that's called panspermia.
It's like Lemmings. Do you remember the game Lemmings? Where you would tell the little people what to do, and they would have to dig holes, and it's kind of like that.
No, I don't know.
You remember play Lemmings, dude?
No, bro.
Oh, you gotta play Lemmings.
I'll play it.
He showed your kids; they'll think it's funny.
All right. But this view has been advocated by several famous and highly respected scientists, including Nobel laureates like Sir Fred Hoyle. I don't know if you heard of him. Mm-hmm. Carl Sagan, who's one of my favorite scientists of all time.
That's the contact guy.
Yeah, and he was my favorite scientist even before I knew he was into panspermia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's your favorite scientist? Even more than Bill Nye, the science guy?
Slightly.
Okay, so he's got to be up there for you.
And you've heard of Francis Crick.
Yep.
It just so happens that Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of the double helix structure of DNA, once he learned about DNA, he said, this didn't evolve here. He said, basically what I know about this DNA and how long this would take to evolve, it did not come from planet Earth.
Okay.
And from that point forward, he was a panspermist.
So he denied the whole evolutionary model at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for different...
Like adaptation, like
adaptation,
microevolution.
Yeah. And I'm sure he believed in, there's so many different types of evolution. I'm sure he believed in some of it, plenty of it.
Yeah.
But the evolution of DNA, he said, no, that came from somewhere else. Which lends more credence to my whole point.
Well, it also lends credence to the intelligent design model, which your whole theory you're going through right now fits in that.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it does.
It just doesn't hold to a specific, thing per se.
Right.
But something with intelligence created everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It explains all the ancient creation stories and visitation stories from around the world, including craft that are explained in ancient text. It explains the wheel described in Ezekiel. That sounds a whole lot like an advanced aircraft.
Yeah. Like a flying saucer.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got brought up on high in this circular machine, as Ezekiel calls it. It explains that. What did he say? He saw 4 living creatures accompanied by 4 wheels that moved with creatures. The wheels described as a wheel within a wheel, and were filled with eyes all around. I don't know, lights or
gnarly.
windows or something. That's in the Bible.
Yeah. No, I like eyes better.
Yeah.
Not windows and that stuff, lights. No,
Lights.
they're eyeballs.
They're freaking.
They're all over the thing as
Yeah,
eyeballs.
that's
That's such a better picture for me in my head, I think.
And they moved in any of the 4 directions without needing to turn. This thing was just circle within a circle, hovering about in any direction it wanted.
That's kind of like some of the stuff that Musk has been building. Like, we're almost there with that kind of stuff. He's able to stop it, turn around, land it again, like all this crazy stuff you only saw in sci-fi movies until now.
Yeah. I think we have more stuff than most people know we have. I think
I
there's
bet.
some
Oh, I'm sure. They
crazy
don't
crap.
tell us nothing, dude. They got
Right.
all kind of stuff that we don't know about.
I think it also explains why Jesus tried to salvage everything he could from the Old Testament, but took issue with so many things, including Yahweh.
Well, that's what I was going to mention earlier, because obviously Jesus quotes the Old Testament quite a
Yeah.
bit in his red letter words, right?
I think he tried to salvage as best he could. He didn't want to come and, as a Jew, he didn't want to come and
Just
completely
abolish it all,
abolish everything. He salvaged everything he could, because like the commandments, he said, follow the commandments. Follow them. They're good. Stick with them. We talked about a lot about that last time.
Yeah.
I think it explains all the modern visitation stories from around the world. There's still thousands of visitation stories every year from around the world. And I don't know if you've watched any UFO documentaries.
I saw Fire in the Sky. That was a good one.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
But there are so many good ones. And it still happens a lot. And people just don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing. But and they have nothing to gain from it. But the fact is, it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think this explains that.
Yeah.
I think it explains what you already said about the enormous megalithic structures, walls, buildings, pyramids, dolmen around the world that were supposedly built while we're still hunters and gatherers.
Yeah.
And before the invention of writing, civilizations,
You're talking about like
architecture,
Stonehenge and that
or
stuff?
even pottery.
Yeah.
Some of these things were built before humans, the hunters and gatherers, even knew how to build pottery.
Right.
So that's their answer for us. Well, they couldn't build pottery, but they built some pretty mean levers and.
Yeah, but see, I would even question that. How do we know they couldn't build pottery? How do we know that?
Well,
we have pottery, right, from those times.
No,
we?
this was before. Some of these mega structures were from well before that. Some of them are hard to date, but
Okay, right. See, right, exactly. That's the hard part.
yeah.
Is they try to put a date on these things. I mean, it's
But like Göbekli Tepe is the famous one that they say was 12,000 years ago. They're telling us that we came out of the hunter-gatherer society like 6,000 years ago.
Right.
That's a huge discrepancy. And Göbekli Tepe, they say, is an anomaly. We'll put it on the back burner once we kind of figure this out. We can explain it. We can explain it. Well, these anomalies are adding up so fast that they're starting to tell their own story.
yeah.
So you're putting all these on the side. Everything you're putting on the side is telling a story now.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of explaining to do.
Sure.
Because this is way before civilizations started. And these guys are lifting perfectly cut stones that are hundreds of tons. In a couple cases, over 1,000 tons.
Yeah. They're probably using dinosaurs to help them lift it.
Oh, man.
Like
now
on the Flintstones.
Now you're...
I bet they had some dinos out there that were helping lift the rocks and stuff.
Well, I don't know about that, because dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago.
Well, that's what they say, but then there's fossil evidence of sandal prints with fossils, so I don't know how that works. I think animals and dinosaurs were on the planet. So that's my view.
Okay.
But I do also hold a young Earth view, so that's not very popular either. But
wow.
Yeah.
Kent Hovind style.
Yeah, Kent Hovind, except with the tax evasion. I'm not with him on the tax evasion.
Right.
But back to the visitations, as you call them, of UFO alien visitations, whatever you want to say. So we talk about, you're saying there's still a lot more, but you don't hear about them, right? Like back in the 70s, 80s, 90s even, you were hearing about this.
No, they're equally as much, if not more, right now.
I know, but you're not hearing about them as much. Like they're not televising them. They're not, right? I mean, do you see this on the news anymore?
They don't televise them. Like the one in Arizona, the fire in the sky.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people saw this
Sure.
in Arizona over the sky, and they have footage of it's at night, and you just see a bunch of lights in formation.
Yeah.
Like bigger than multiple football fields,
Right.
this perfect triangle
Right.
or whatnot.
Or what was the thing in Vegas?
And they put that in the news.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah.
And then the governor didn't know what to say about it, so he kind of mocked it.
Okay.
The one in Vegas, we don't have enough information on. But
That was a weird one, right?
Weird happened.
Where the guy's like, "There's like creatures in my backyard," and they're
8
like,
to 9 feet
"Yeah,
tall.
they're like really tall and they're
Yeah.
glowing and stuff." And I was, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But see, here's my thing, dude. The difference between now and in the 90s, let's say, okay, or the 80s, is everybody and their mother has a video camera in their pocket at all times, right? Not only that, almost every house has a Ring device, has some kind of a something, right? That's why, we have all these videos of people trying to steal packages and right, like nobody gets away with much anymore because it's like, oh, does anybody know this guy? He stole a package off my porch. Oh, that's John down the street. Here's his address, right? So if all these visitations are happening, in my opinion, it shouldn't be that difficult for there to be just a full-on actual video of this happening, right? Someone says, "Oh, these things in the sky came and they landed in my backyard or whatever." Like, you should have a video of that. I'm sorry. And if they say, "Well, I was too scared. I didn't even think to pull up my phone," I don't think so. I would be terrified. But you know what the first thing I'm doing is? I'm pulling my phone out. Mm-hmm. I am pulling my phone out. Even if they kill me in the process and no one ever sees the footage, that is the first thing I'm doing. Oh my gosh, there's flying saucers in my backyard, and now there's big 9-foot tall glowing people walking through my backyard. That's getting recorded. Yeah. One way or another, I'm getting that recorded.
Yeah,
but
this is
why
the
don't we
Las
see
Vegas
it?
incident.
That specifically is the Vegas one.
I don't know enough about that one, but
yeah. You just have an audio of him talking to the people on the phone.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. And it's all weird. It's like calm, like he's saying, "No, they're not trying to hurt me or anything. They're just here. I don't know what to do." Like the dogs are going nuts, and
that's just one of thousands.
Sure.
I would encourage you to watch a handful of the greatest documentaries that have ever been made on the subject.
Do they show video footage?
Yeah.
A lot of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's hundreds.
Just like lights in the sky, or like actual footage of these beings and like that kind of stuff?
Everything you can think of, there's video footage of it. The hard part is trying to decipher which ones are fake and which ones are hoaxes.
Right. Yeah.
Because what happens is you can prove a couple hoaxes, and then the skeptic says, "See, they're all fake."
Yes.
That's the problem.
It's the baby with the bathwater.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And so there are videos and photos of everything you can think of.
Yeah.
These entities, their craft, them flying at night, them flying during the day. There's photos and videos, at least photos. The best window of time was in like the 50s to the 70s because you couldn't fake them.
Right.
That was the best time. That was the era for getting real, legitimate photos.
Well, you say that, but isn't that when we got that Bigfoot video? Wasn't that around then, or was that later? You know, the famous one
80s,
where the guy's walking
80s.
through the forest and it's very obviously a guy in a suit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's different. But,
but
once again, you got to take these at a case-by-case scenario.
So how do you personally, as you're watching these, you're researching, you're looking at videos and stuff, how do you personally decipher the real from the fake? Like, how do you determine that?
I just dive in and
like to the actual story itself.
Dive into the story. Dive into the testimonies. Dive into, does this photo that is of this craft jive with all these testimonies? Mm-hmm. And they said it's right here, and then the next day they come back and all the grass is dead in a circle right there where he said it was.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something, you know.
Okay.
The guy who went up to it now has radiation cancer, and he died after 3 weeks. Okay, well that's something.
Sure.
You know, so you take every story at a case by case scenario, and if you do that enough, you start to see things unfold. And for me, I have a pretty broad worldview that these are not isolated events. Usually when people talk about UFOs and aliens, it's an isolated event. Well, guess what? The last 4 podcast episodes I've done with you were kind of leading up to this.
I know.
My UFO stuff is not isolated events.
Sure.
It has the huge, thick foundation of what these things are. Mm-hmm. And they come from the galaxy. They come from dimensions, different dimensions. They could come from under the water. There's testimonies of them coming in and out of the water.
Yeah. See, that would make sense because there's so much of the ocean that we haven't explored yet.
Yeah. So there's. I didn't expect to get this far into like the UFO stuff.
Yeah. Would you want to backtrack and go back and we'll do UFOs next time, or what do you want to do?
Well, that's going to be at least a whole nother episode. I would love for you to listen to. I'll give you a few. I'll give you a few documentaries to check out, and then we can kind of discuss them.
For sure.
Because
until the next time, because it's going to be February before you're able to come back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Unless I have a cancellation or something,
but when it comes to these megalithic structures, I find it hard to believe that these hunter-gatherers built those.
Right.
And so this worldview that I'm laying out answers so many of these questions, not just biblically or in terms of the oldest records of humanity, but we're talking the megaliths, the aliens, all this stuff. And it may not have been the dinosaurs who hoisted these things, but how about the son of the gods, the Nephilim?
Right.
What if they helped? Those are big boys, right?
Sure, yeah, that's right.
So there's a lot of possibilities, and I'm not 100% on anything, but I think I'm on the right track completely. There's a lot more stories, testimonies from civilizations around the world. Literally every continent on the world has stories of sky people coming down.
Sure.
Every single one.
Of course.
The oldest...
Even Antarctica?
Yes.
I don't know if they go over there. It's too cold.
Well, there's plenty of stories from Antarctica.
If I was a sky people, I wouldn't go to Antarctica.
We already talked about the Sumerian, Mesopotamian. The Indian Hindu one has so many stories about entities coming down and the names of their pantheon. Devas like Indra and Vishnu and Shivu and Brahma and other avatars seen as advanced.
Did you say
beings.
divas?
Yeah, that's where that comes from.
Okay.
That's where it comes from.
All right.
They talk about these Vimanas, which are spacecraft. They have these divine weapons and high-tech armaments. And this is all ancient Hindu writings, and they're talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
The mighty Ravana brought the Pushpaka chariot, which resembles the sun. That aerial and excellent chariot goes everywhere it will, resembling a bright cloud in the sky. The king got in, and the superb chariot at the command of Righira rose up into the higher atmosphere. This aerial car, shining like the sun, moves as one pleases. Wonderful and excellent is retained here for your sake. There's 2 stored celestial chariots in the sky. I mean, you hear all these ancient 2,000-plus-year-old language of what these primitive people are looking at.
Right.
You know,
right.
Chariots. Egyptians had pantheons of Ra and Osiris and Horus and Thoth. The Greeks had the Olympian gods, Zeus and Hera, Poseidon and Athena, with their distinct personalities and rivalries and interventions with human affairs. It's like it's all the same stories written in a slightly different way based on memory, because these gods stopped living on Earth with us at a certain point.
Why? They went off to better places, or what?
They realized that they were messing things up more than they were helping.
So they created inferior beings, and assuming that they weren't going to mess stuff up.
Yeah, well, all these stories talk about how they were so much infighting between the gods. So the good deities would set up the humans with some technology and some tools, and the negative entities would use those same tools to harm each other. Stuff like that. So they're like, you know what?
Sounds like a movie.
Yeah, these guys are supposed to have free will. Let's just pull out. Maybe we'll come back later.
Okay.
The Japanese...
They're done with the Earth.
I think they're still watchers. I think they'll always be watching and possibly intervening.
Now you're getting into Marvel superhero kind of stuff now, dude.
Yeah. Well, all these things that come from... There's always kernels of truth in all this stuff.
Right.
But the Japanese are seen as specific extraterrestrial beings who brought advanced knowledge and established societal structures. I mean, all this stuff that I'm reading, this is not my opinion yet. Right. I don't want to impose my opinion yet. I'm just reading the historical documents of the most ancient writings of all these cultures. You know, I'm doing that so I don't have to impose my opinion. Oral traditions of many indigenous cultures literally have sky people or star people as their creators. The Hopi Native Americans, right from here.
Yep.
I don't know if you heard about that one, but the oral traditions speak of their ancestors coming from the Pleiades constellation. They have a detailed cosmology involving different worlds and spiritual beings who, once again, guide humanity. You keep hearing this from every culture. They helped us. They guided us. They taught us what they often teach is metallurgy, agriculture, animal husbandry, civilization, all kinds of this stuff. The Dogon tribe in Africa says, well, we were visited by sophisticated entities from the Sirius star system, including Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye, that they came, was given to them beings called Nomo, who arrived from Sirius. And so they knew about this twin star system, Sirius B, that's invisible to the naked eye, before the scientists did. They can explain what it looked like, what it was all about. Of course, the Australian Aboriginals talked about sky beings. The Zulu from South Africa, they had visitors from the stars. And I'm just scratching the surface here. You can go everywhere. And
so would you say, though, that back to kind of previous discussions where we're talking about things like telepathy and, don't tell me, remote viewing and stuff like that, right? Do you think that's people that were created by the star people that have just learned to access that ability, or do you think that is some of the star people that are still living here?
That's a
to where they're like, question. You know what, we know how to do cool stuff.
That's a great question.
Watch this.
I actually think it's both. Okay. I think there's still, depending on where in the country you're born and your DNA, I think different ethnicities have different DNA.
Sure.
And once again, it's very similar to my analogy of athleticism. We all have a different, and you can tell by watching somebody, oh, that guy's an athlete.
Oh, for
or
sure.
Or that guy is uncoordinated.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing with spiritual gifts. Okay. Or, I don't even like that term, spiritual gifts. Yeah. It's the same thing with, like, these kids from the telepathy tapes. We all have different
abilities,
depth of even telepathy.
Yeah.
And one thing that you'll hear over and over and over again from abductees, experiencers, they say when they're taken in these craft, the entities in this craft always communicate telepathically. And that one perked my ear.
Yeah, because especially with like telepathy tapes, you listen to that and you hear all these kids mostly that are seen as less thans. They're seen as inferior. They have a disease. They have a mental disorder. They have a problem simply because they don't verbalize, right? Mm-hmm. But after listening to that especially, you realize, no, wait a minute, we might have it backwards.
Yep.
These people have gone above and beyond the lower form of human, and now they don't need to talk. They can communicate without speech, without verbalizing anything, and that's not a bad, like an inferior quality.
No, it's not.
That's a superior quality. That's a superhuman. That's somebody who can do that. If you can move stuff with your mind, or you can talk to people with just your mind. If you and I can sit here and just talk to each other without moving our mouths, that's way far beyond the normal person.
I love how you brought that up.
Right?
Because that is interconnected with all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. We were born or created within that image, in that likeness.
Yeah.
We originally had that. And slowly it faded away or got taken away by the nefarious
Yahweh
entities, Yahweh. Okay. He says, they're getting too smart.
Do you think Tower of Babel was them telepathy?
I think they're taking away some of our abilities. I don't know to what extent. I don't even know if it's true, but I know the gist of it is true. But it's not too late to get it back, and a lot of people say spiritual evolution is only headed back in that direction. Yeah. It's only in a forward progress. And Source, or transcendent God, has a hierarchical progression of spiritual evolution, to where, as we advance, these are the types of things we experience. We experience all of a sudden, we may evolve these telepathic gifts like these kids.
Right.
We know one thing for sure: they're doing it, so it's possible.
Right.
And they're here on the planet Earth.
Yeah. Do you think that you have to be born with something like that? Like, so when you look at somebody who's, let's say, blind or deaf, right? We've known for years that usually when that's the case, the other senses are heightened, right? Like somebody who's deaf might have way better eyesight than the normal person, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think that you almost have to be born with something like autism or something like that, to where maybe your other senses, like, that's not really a sense, but your other abilities like speech and that kind of stuff is hindered, yet an ability like telepathy is heightened? Or do you think somebody like me and you, obviously we can talk normal, we're doing, use normal loosely, we can talk right with our mouths, we can communicate that way, we look to the world like a normal human as we walk around and we talk and we do all these things. Do you think guys like you and I could set out to learn to be telepathic? Or do you think that's something you have to be born with, in a sense, and does it always have to come with another form of disability, for lack of a better word? I just explained why I don't like that term, but what do you think?
No, I think you nailed it on the head. Some people are born with it, especially the what we would call unfortunate,
right? Who
are actually very fortunate,
right? Exactly.
And I love it how they feel accepted now that this podcast came out, and now they're starting to write books and help us. They say, I'm here to teach humans and show them how to advance.
Right.
And I just love the fact that they have a voice now.
That's what made me so excited as I listened to that podcast, was that it seemed like every single time that whatever the doctor's name was, I forgot her name, or even the podcast girl whose also name I forgot, but expressed interest in studying their telepathy and studying, they were excited.
Yes.
They're like, yes, finally somebody's going to listen to us. Like, finally, right? And it would seem to be unanimous among all of them. And it wasn't like they were just going to one specific clinic with all these specific kids that were all together in a room, right? It was multiple places, multiple children, multiple families, right? I mean, and the fact that they were all so excited, like, finally we have an audience. Finally, somebody's going to listen to us describe this.
And it's a two-edged sword, because it makes you so sad for all those who came before them.
Oh, for sure.
And the first words from one of those kids, once he learned how to spell, his first words was, I'm in here.
Yeah. That gave me
I'm
chills.
in here.
That gave me chills. Yeah.
And mom was so happy and pissed off at the same time.
Right.
He was in here the whole time?
And the doctors
And
made me
you
think he
guys
wasn't.
tell me he's a vegetable?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You think of all those years of life with your child that you can't get it back. Yeah. It's terrible, man.
But for the rest of us, it takes so much more practice. But you listen to all the remote viewers, they say it's a learned skill.
Okay.
You sit there.
Because that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
Let me know, man. Because when you figure out how to do it, you come show me. Because I want to. That'd be awesome.
I've been practicing.
Could
I've
you
had
imagine?
some degree of success.
Have you really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, tell me about it. What'd you do? Where'd you go, man?
Well, the first thing I start with is a book with 1,000 pages of pictures.
Okay.
And I have no idea what's on each page. I've only opened the book a couple times.
Okay.
So the remote viewers say you have a target, which is like an envelope. Put the envelope in the page, close it, and just be still.
What's the point of the envelope?
That's the target.
Is that what you're focusing on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm focusing on the page the envelope is in.
Gotcha.
And this is what the remote viewers say is the target.
Okay.
And we went over, I must have gone over a dozen examples with you about the success of remote viewers in real life, you know.
Right.
And so, well, I'll give it a go. And out of 1,000 pages, your odds of hitting are slim to none.
Right.
And I've done it maybe 10 and I've nailed it like 3 times.
Oh, really?
So
describe nailed it. What do you mean by that? Like you knew what was on the page even though it wasn't open?
Yeah.
And then you looked after and like, oh, wow.
Yep.
Now, what kind of experience was that? Were you just like freaking out?
No.
No? Were you celebrating? Were you like...
I'm just shaking my head, but that was really cool.
Right.
At the end of my like, I think I had an 8-minute timer. At the end of like an 8-minute meditation, just focusing on what comes into vision. Like near the end, I just see this bear's snout staring me right in the eyes. And then I open the page and there's a bear looking at me hanging off the tree.
Nice. Now, what level of success? Like, let's say the bear that saw you in the vision was a polar bear. But then when you opened the book, it was like a grizzly bear. Would that still have been a success for you? Would you still be like, I was a bear? That was close enough.
I would say yes because I'm a newbie.
Right.
But there's differing degrees of success. It was a brown bear in my vision, and it was a brown bear on the page.
Okay.
And so I'm like, all I saw was the head. I didn't see the body, but the head was the same, the ears.
Okay.
Another time, I had the envelope, and I was kind of nearing the end of my meditation. I see the what was that building in Greece with all the pillars? The
Pantheon or the Parthenon?
Parthenon,
something like that. Yeah.
I see that.
Okay.
Pretty clear. You know what that looks like in your head.
Yeah.
Like, well, there's that.
Yeah.
And so I go to open up the book, and I'm looking for the envelope. The very first page I open is not where the envelope is, but there's the Parthenon.
Oh, crazy. That's awesome. So you didn't even need the focus point at that point. Like you did it without it.
Yeah, but it wasn't where the envelope was.
That's funny.
But somewhere in my consciousness knew the first thing I was going to look at. I can't explain that. There's 1,000 pages in this book, and then I opened the envelope, and it's something completely different.
Yeah.
Remember the story where the remote viewer drew 2 water tanks?
Yes.
And
then it wasn't there in the present time, but they looked back and it wasn't.
Yes, so the same thing happened to me. It's hard to tell
where you are in the timeline.
So when I opened, it was a different timeline.
Okay. I
opened to the Parthenon when it wasn't even part of the. So it's a success and a failure at the same time. But I'll take it.
Sure.
That one tripped me out.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm 30%.
Okay.
But I'll take it because they say a very experienced, successful remote viewer or medium or people using these ESP skills are like 66%.
Okay.
That's why we can't completely rely on them for everything, because we're talking about the human brain mixing with the consciousness, tapping into outside sources and inside sources and the Akashic records and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
do you ever have like your wife or your kids like help you when you're doing that? Like you say, hey, look at that page right there. Don't tell me what's on it.
Yeah, my son is a little interested.
Okay.
But my wife is a little scared.
Okay.
My wife kind of poo-poos the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is
she like, my husband's a wacko?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, not a little bit, 100%.
Yeah.
I let her do her thing. She lets me do my thing.
Hey, that's the key to a healthy marriage,
Yeah.
you know?
But the problem is, she would be so much better at this than me.
Yeah, I bet.
I
bet women in general would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why many mediums are women. They have this natural, they're better at it than
Sure.
men. It's just a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
They have this intuition. I've seen a number of times where my wife intuits what my daughter is up to. She's like, I just had a vision.
Yeah.
I just had a dream last night, and it's totally true.
Right.
And I try to encourage her, hey, do a remote viewing session with me. You are crazy.
I love it.
I said, you don't understand.
Yeah.
You would be so much better at it than me.
Right.
And here I am racking my brain, studying, researching, trying new things.
Yeah.
And you would be better at it than me. She's like, yeah, maybe, but no thanks.
That's so funny.
So.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And these are the things where Jesus was saying, the things that I do, you will do also, and even greater than me.
Yeah.
But what happens a lot of the time from my studies is that these gods come to help us out and explain things, and then it gets distorted.
Mm-hmm.
They explain things, and it gets distorted. For example, they came to help out the Mayans and the Incans, and they helped them build these huge pyramids.
Right.
And these pyramids, like the pyramids in Egypt, were made to enhance our consciousness. When you're in there, it's kind of like a float chamber, and it helps you evolve your consciousness to the next level.
Like Stranger Things. Remember I was telling you. Have you seen the Stranger Things?
Yeah, but I don't remember that.
Remember how
aspect.
11, she does the remote viewing, but she can do it best when she's floating in the water.
Yeah.
And it like they put her in the first season, they put her in the bathtub.
Yeah, it's
so
a
she
sensory
can find,
deprivation tank.
Right.
And that's similar to what the pyramids were in Egypt and in South America. But negative entities and thoughts creep in. Next thing you know, they're sacrificing humans on these things. And it's like, that's not what it was for. It's not what it was for.
Yeah.
There's a few other instances in Egypt. Same thing happened. They come to help out, and they take the gifts and they turn it around for something negative. And I think something similar happened with Jesus. He came to help us out. Next thing you know, there's Paul distorting it in my view, and it's just kind of a cycle over and over again. And I have a lot more to say on all this stuff, but they are keeping their distance now. But they're keeping watch. I don't know if you've heard about all the instances where these UAPs are guarding nuclear facilities and turning nukes on and off.
No.
Have you heard about these? Yeah, there's a couple books about it and a couple videos, but they're highly aware of and curious and interested in our nuclear facilities.
That's very comforting. That's good to know. I mean, that makes me feel like I can sleep pretty good tonight now.
Well, you should, because they're trying to protect us from ourselves.
Oh, they're trying to turn them off so we don't have them anymore.
If they wanted to kill us, they could have done that a long time ago, but they didn't. They're not.
Yeah.
In general, they're positive entities. In general.
Well, unless we get a bad one in there, because you said there's the positives and the negatives, and they're all at war with each other. So if they come in and they're like, "Hey, let's go give all the nukes over here to Kim Jong-un," or whatever, Scary stuff, man.
Yep.
So
we live in the Milky Way galaxy that has an estimated 200 billion solar systems.
yeah,
And that's just one galaxy. There's an estimated 2 trillion known galaxies. And that's up from about 200 billion from about 10 years ago.
that we knew about. You mean that we know of more?
It just
now.
keeps
Yeah.
growing and growing.
Yeah,
And that's just because that's all we can see. There's going to be even more once we can see that far.
yeah,
If the light from those galaxies have had time to reach us yet. But each of these 200 billion solar systems in these 2 trillion galaxies have an average of 1 to 10 planets
yeah.
per solar system.
Right.
So if we're starting to do this math,
Yeah. Well,
and actually I did the math.
Yeah.
If that's about 4 planets per solar system, that's 1.6 times 10 to the 24th.
Right.
So 1, 6, and 24 zeros.
It's a good amount of that.
That's a lot of planets.
Yeah. Well, that goes back, and I think we mentioned it before, but that from Carl Sagan's Contact.
Yes.
That whole quote where she says, "Dad, do you think there's other life out there?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Well, I don't know, honey, but if there's not, that sure is an awful waste of space." Right? Like it's so vast out there to think that we're the only thing on this little tiny pebble of a planet called Earth.
Yeah,
And then
and we're in
else,
some
that's it,
obscure part of an obscure galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
If you there's nothing special about this if you look back. And I mean, even if 0.01% of those 1.6 septillion planets was habitable, you're still talking about 160 quintillion habitable planets.
Right.
The closest star to us is Proxima Centauri, and that's 4.25 light years away.
Mm-hmm.
That has a habitable planet.
Right.
The very first star we come across has a habitable planet in the zone where kind of a Goldilocks zone. There is a little buffer of what the Goldilocks zone is, but it can have water on the planet, and it could possibly contain life.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know about a lot of the things that you say, but I always bring it back to music because I think of. But that's a song by At the Drive-In. Did you ever hear that song by? Do you ever the band At the Drive-In?
Nothing to know.
Oh, okay. They're kind of like
What does it say?
They're kind of like a Rage Against the Machine sounding kind of band, I guess. They morphed into some other band. I forgot. Dang it, what was that? Anyway, point is, yeah, they have a song called what you just said, and I can't repeat it. Proxima Centauri or whatever. What did you just say?
Yeah, Proxima Centauri. It's in the Alpha Centauri star system.
Yeah, that's the name of a song. Proxima Centauri.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first star, the closest star.
Okay.
4.25 light years away. The speed of light, it would take 4.25 years just to reach there. With our current vehicles, it would take tens of thousands of years.
Wow.
But that's the closest star in our galaxy. The furthest star away in our galaxy is 100,000 light years. And the closest galaxy, major galaxy, Andromeda, that's over 2 million light years away.
Wow.
So if we poke our head outside of our galaxy, there's no more galaxies for a couple million light years.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 trillion of those. That's a lot of wasted space.
Yes.
And so
Unless, and I have to throw this out there because unless the whole point was just for God to be like, look what I made. Mm-hmm. Look how amazing. Like, be in awe of how awesome and amazing God is. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to put life on all those planets. He could just be like, look at all this.
right.
I could have put life on those planets,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
But
I guess to me, to fully believe in other, aliens, other life forms, for lack of a better word, I would have to see one. I would have to have one, I'd have to have one on the podcast. I'd have to have one sitting right there. Yeah, but what'd you see though?
I saw, I was camping,
Mm-hmm.
and there's something called CE5, Close Encounters of the First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth Kind.
Okay.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is you meditate and you ask them to reveal themselves. I was camping, and I did that like 3 times, and one time it actually worked.
Okay.
but not at the time.
Now, I got to ask the same question I always ask, though. Was there any substances being used by you at the time?
No, I haven't been a drinker since 2021.
Well, drinker, any other kind of mind-altering?
I was with my family.
All right.
No mind-altering substances.
All right.
And this thing I wake up at 4 a.m. just in time to see this thing coming across the sky. Maybe an eighth of the size of the moon. There was a full moon. Mm-hmm. And it just comes in faster than an airplane, way bigger than an airplane. And then it just stops.
Just right in the sky?
Just right in the sky.
Did it look like a light?
Yeah, big, like oval light, like the shape of kind of like a disc.
Okay.
And then it just stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what actually does that?
Right.
You can tell it's very far away.
Right.
And it comes in faster than any airplane. And then it just stopped. And I'm staring at that thing for 45 minutes and it didn't move.
But you say faster than any airplane, and that takes me back to what we were talking about before, about how the government obviously has stuff we don't know about.
Yeah, could be.
So to me, something like that wouldn't do it for me. Like if like I just said, I would need to see one. Like that wouldn't do it. I would need to see a creature. I need to see the being that's flying that ship. I need him to come down and stand next to me and say, hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but guess what? Thousands of people have.
Supposedly.
Well, yeah, but that's where that's where you need to break into each one of these stories.
You're going to send me some of your favorites, right?
An investigator. I will send you some.
Send me some of the best ones. Weed out all the crap for me and give me some good ones.
And you're right. I did get a picture of it because some people, I didn't know what to do.
A picture or a video?
Both.
Okay, cool.
But I didn't get it flying in because I just
you just got it just sitting there,
and it just came and it stopped, and I'm grabbing my phone, and I take a picture, and I'm sitting there with my phone for 45 minutes. What's this thing gonna do?
Yeah.
And it did. I fell asleep after 45 minutes. It's 4:30, 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
But you're right. That could have been something that humans created.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that was just my experience, and it was strange, especially after I was like meditating that night. Like, send me something.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
See, that is cool. That correlation there is kind of neat.
Yeah, it's like a remote viewing type of thing where I want to connect my consciousness with another consciousness, because all I ever hear from these experiencers is that they communicate telepathically, and as the more and more research I do, the more I realize I'm not crazy, because things just keep lining up one after another, after another, after another. Right. My wife says I see green people, and
what?
Yeah, that's what she says. Oh, you studying about your green people again?
Oh, I thought you meant your wife has said she has seen green people.
No.
I was like, well, that's much better than your story, man. I'd like to hear her story about seeing green people. That's
No, that's what she says about me.
Right.
But I think people need to realize that we've advanced so quickly in the last 150 years that at this trajectory, we will know a ton about technology and travel and consciousness in another 1,000 years.
Right.
Now imagine what we'll know in 2,000 years.
Yeah.
What about 1,000,000 years? And now you look at the fact that science, and I agree, so that dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, and they were around 250 million years ago. What if those 250 million years weren't wasted on the dinosaurs, and we were around then, and we started our space travel, our rocketry to the moon stuff 250 million years ago?
Yeah.
Guess what? That's where some of these intelligences are.
Right.
They're 250 million years or more ahead of us, maybe a billion.
Yeah.
And so if you look at it that way and just put things in perspective, it's not a stretch to think that our kind, intelligent beings, they want to spread intelligence to other habitable planets.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is trying to do that right now. It's not a stretch to think that humans want to do that.
Sure.
And
some people think he's an alien.
I've heard that.
Maybe he is, man. Maybe he's one of these star people.
The craziest thing about the universe is it's weird.
That's a statement right there.
And therefore, the final answer is going to be weird. If it starts off weird, the whole thing is weird.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing about trying to fit in, humans love to fit in.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I just got to fit in. Don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
I've never been like that.
Yeah.
And so if you have an issue with my view, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
See, and that's the way I feel too. I wish everybody was like that.
And if you don't have answers, guess what? Then my stance maintains.
Yeah.
And I don't find anybody who can give good answers back because they just don't want to rock the boat.
Right.
So
do you ever get people tell you when you say that? Because I say that same thing to people. I'll be like, no, I'm open to being wrong, but I have to see evidence that convinces me that what I believe is not true. Like I have a friend who's big on the moon landing. Mm-hmm. The moon landing never happened, blah, 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 blah. I said, dude, listen. I said, okay, if it didn't, it didn't. Great, whatever. But I need to see evidence of that. And what he always says to me is, I don't think that you would accept the evidence.
That's a possibility too. A lot of people don't accept the evidence.
Right, but I'm like, no. What I'm trying to say to him though is like, I need not. To me, evidence is not. Watch this video. This guy who claimed to work for the government and now he's living in a bunker and he's like all huddled down. He's like, guys, I was in the meeting, and they said that the moon landing never happened. Blah, blah, like some little conspiracy theorist dude. That's not evidence. I can find somebody in a basement wearing a hood saying anything I want them to say, really. I mean, I can find anything. I can find some guy saying whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not evidence to me. Right. And I think that's what he means. Like, oh, you want to accept the evidence. No, I will accept good evidence. I won't accept garbage evidence. No, there's garbage evidence out there too. You know what I mean? Like, we can pretty much, quote unquote, prove anything we want to. We can get a stack of books that say what we like, that say what we believe. We can get, news people to say what we want them to say, and we compile those all together, and we just block out all the other evidence that goes against what we believe, and we say, there's my case, there it is. It's like, but that's not a very unbiased view. You're not allowing for all the other stuff that contradicts what these people are saying. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's how we need to get to the truth. Like when you and I are sitting here, and you say this, and like you're saying when you talk to the guy or whoever you're talking about, and you'd say, oh, this is what I believe, let's talk about it. Don't just say no or whatever, and let's say you tell me, let's talk about it. And I say, okay, well, here, let me give you some evidence, in my view, evidence that's going to disprove what you believe. Now, because I know you, and you're like me, you're going to look at that evidence, and you're either going to say, oh my gosh, that's spot on, I'm changing everything I believe. Right. Or you're going to say, that's not good enough to convince me. But see, my problem is other people that you would say that to, that evidence is not good enough. Mm-hmm. They would say, psh, you're not interested in the truth, man. That's what your problem is. You don't want the truth. It's like, no, just because you disagree with someone's quote unquote evidence doesn't mean you're not interested in the truth. It means your evidence sucks. That's what that means. Like, you need to bring some better evidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's varying degrees of what evidence you will accept, and we're all human, and we have a point of view. My track record is I've changed my mind a few times, which kind of shows that I'm looking at the evidence, and it is enough to change my mind.
Sure.
So I went from here to here to here. I'm changing my mind when the evidence comes along.
And maybe you'll go full circle.
No, I won't.
I love it. Not even a possibility, man. No way.
That's not going to happen.
Oh, that's great.
But no, it's fascinating, and life is actually weird. And I think it's much more colorful and dynamic than people even understand about life. Yeah. Because we have it pretty chill, and it's a little bit monotonous at times, but that doesn't mean there's not strange things going on at the same time. It just means that we only have one focal point. So,
yeah. Sweet.
I think that's all I got for today.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah.
Where are we going next time? Give me a. Are we going to delve more into the alien stuff, or are we going to start back where we were before?
There's an amazing work that describes in detail actually what is going on.
Okay.
And it was produced by channelers.
Okay.
And everything that it talks about, this channeler did not study. Mm-hmm. So this channeler doesn't know about this kind of stuff, and yet when she's in her trance state, she spits out in over 100 sessions all this stuff like that I'm talking about today. So when I found that, body of work, I'm blown away at how closely it aligns with all this stuff that I was talking about today, with the gods, the Elohim, and where they could have come from and all that. It's all answered, and it trips me out. So maybe we'll talk about it. But again, I'm not totally easily convinced.
Right.
But I just find that fascinating.
Sure.
Because it could easily be 100% legit, or it can be manipulated.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure that out. But if it's legit, then we have a pretty amazing document on our hands.
Right.
But there's so much interesting stuff out there that we can talk about. So let me think about it.
Okay.
I'll give you some documentaries to check out.
Yeah.
And,
only the good ones, though. I don't want the garbage ones.
Absolutely.
I want the ones that are going to blow my mind.
Yes.
You know?
Nothing else. I would allow nothing else.
All right, man. Until next time.
All right. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you so much for giving up some of your time and listening to this discussion. Don't forget to tell your friends. And if you want to talk to me, please reach out by sending an email to whycan'twetalkaboutthat@proton.me. Thanks. Until next time.